All right. So basically, we're here for this live stream. I want to do something fun. So for some of you that might know, a while ago I started off this thing called the Game Dev Practice Lab, where I basically do some game mechanic challenges. And over here, I basically wanted to try doing one live, just to see how it's fun to do all this, how it's very practical, very hands-on. So yes. If we join the practice lab, do we get the previous challenges? Yep, you do get all challenges. So if you join right now, you can already go do the 11 challenges that already exist. So yes, they exist on the library forever. So yep, you can definitely do that. If you want, you can join for literally just 1 month, binge all the challenges, then cancel, then next year do the same thing. And basically that also works. So yeah, if you want to do that, you can definitely do that. All right, so yeah, so here I figured why not start with challenge number 0. So this is a save system, which should be quite fun. Personally, I really enjoy making save systems. It's something that every game needs, so it's something that I've made many, many times since I've made many games. And it's actually quite fun and quite easy to do. So it's interesting because it's something that is essential, but a lot of beginners also don't quite know how to build it, even though it is actually relatively simple to build. At least the pattern that I figured out or that I learned many years ago, it's a pattern that is actually very easy to understand and is adaptable to literally anything. You can save whatever that you want. So yep, that is basically what I will be doing here. So essentially over here, so this is challenge number 0. It's the save system city builder. And the goal is basically to build a save system to store all data in this mini city builder game. So if I hit on play here, I can see how we have a basic city builder sort of game. So essentially I can place down some buildings, but of course there's no actual city builder save system logic. So over here, yep, I've got a simple build area. So I've got a nice grid. Then over here, I've got buttons to choose what kind of building do I want to spawn. I really just got 3 separate building types. That's basically it. And I can place down a house. Then I can place down some kind of office building and some kind of power station. And yep, basically by clicking, I can place all these. And there you go, everything works. So I've got a nice little camera movement. I can move a camera, rotate around, place some buildings. And yep, so very basic, quote unquote, city builder type of game. But there's no save system right now. So right now, if I quit and I go back in, I will not have this data. So the entire goal is basically these objectives. So the first one is saving and loading the resource amounts. So over here on the corner, there's a nice little resource counter. So counting down the amount of gold, power, people, and so on. Basically, this is generated by these buildings. So we need to save this data. Then we also need to figure out how exactly are we going to save all of this building placement. I want to be able to quit the game, then come back, and all these buildings are exactly as they were on the exact same positions with the exact same types. I want to save that data. Then for some bonus objectives, I want to handle multiple save slots to be able to have one save file, but then jump into another one and so on. Then I want to have a load select in the menu, so being able to select which save do I actually want to load. And the final, the more ambitious bonus objective, very much save screenshot and metadata. So alongside all of this save data, basically just save a bunch of extra stuff. So yep, that's the goal. This is the starting scene. So I've got a nice little city builder, but nothing is currently being saved. So the goal is to try to actually save some stuff. Nice. Let me inspire. Nice. Brother and I haven't done your cooking multi-course, but the single one is in our itch page. Oh, that's cool. That is awesome. That is super cool. Yeah, I always love hearing how people enjoy that kitchen chaos course. That is all super cool. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that one. Nice job. Hey Marcia, how's it going? Yeah, I'm live right now. Yeah, it's 6 p.m. So I'm guessing this is a better time for you. So yeah, I'm curious. Try out different time zones, trying to see which one works. And yeah, tell us about the format. You can use whatever format you want. Me personally, I'm a big fan of JSON. It is super simple, super easy to use, and extremely versatile. You can save basically anything that you want. So yes, that is my favorite. That is not really a data format. That's just a extension name. So yeah, that one alone you can use whatever extension you want, and inside you can have whatever data format you want. So that is usually just an extension, doesn't really refer to any kind of data format. And finally, should we encrypt saves? No. Save data is just for the player. If the player wants to cheat their own game, by all means do it. And if you're making multiplayer games, then you should not trust the player at all. So in either case, then encrypting, nope, that does not matter. That should not be something. Yeah. So this learned through the practice lab. Practice lab step-by-step project structure would be building features. The practice lab is I give you a project, literally this project that I have here, and then it's up to you to figure out how to implement all these objectives. It's very much a hands-on practice program, so it is not a bunch of tutorials. Nope, you basically download the project files that I have here, and then it's up to you to solve all of these various objectives. And the entire goal is that by actually doing this, you are actually gaining experience. You are solving problems yourself, making decisions, and so on, because in order to learn, you need to actually do something. So, yep, I give the starting project files, I give you a list of objectives, and it's up to you to basically do them. Yeah. Very elegant today. Oh, nice. Do you like my Kakashi t-shirt? That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so let me try to do this. And like I said, I really enjoy making save systems, so this one is going to be fun. So first, let's on the first objective, basically saving and loading the resource amounts. And this is actually pretty easy, or rather, with this one, this is a great example for me to showcase how exactly do I save data. So over here, I've got the resource manager. This one has just some ints for the power amount, the money, population, and so on. Yep, that's basically it. And here I've got just a very simple resource manager, just functions to get, functions to add. That's really it, super simple. But essentially, we want to store this data. We want to store these three ints. So how exactly do we do that? So here is the pattern that I normally use for any kind of save object. So whenever I have some kind of data that I want to save, over here I just define a class and I name it save object. And then over here inside this class, I basically add whatever data do I actually want to save. So in this case, like I said, I want to save all these. So I'm actually literally just going to copy paste this and put it over there. Now, usually I always advise you to always make things private, never make anything public. In fact, I have a whole video on that topic. Wait, did the stream go down? What? Okay. Okay, it seems like only the preview went down? Okay. Okay, I think it's still working. Okay, because the YouTube preview went down, so I was like, did everything go down? But apparently not. Okay, anyways. Okay, so everything seems to be good. Oh, hey, John. Hey, how's it going? Nice. Back. Okay, good. So apparently it didn't actually go down. Okay. So like I was saying, usually I recommend that you basically make everything private. You don't make anything public. And I covered that on a tutorial video, CodeMonkey Public. If I put that one, yep, there you go, this video right here, you should not make everything public. If you don't know why, then definitely watch this video. Over here I explain why you should not make everything public. It's a very terrible thing. So you should definitely make things private by default and only make them public if you have a very specific reason. And over here, for this, for making a save object, usually I do have a good reason, which is just, basically I just look at these as just read-only data containers. So for that, usually this is the exception that I make public. So for the most part, you should make everything private, except for basically two exceptions. So over here for the save object, this is just a data container, so I like making it public. And for scriptable objects, again, same thing. Also, I treat those as just read-only data containers, so I'm okay with making them public. So basically just explaining why I always say, don't make anything public, and over here I'm making something public. It is because this is very much intended as a nice exception. So, yep, here we've got a nice class for the save object, and this class contains the data that I actually want to save, and then just make a simple save function. And over here I'm basically going to create an object, so save object, and I construct a brand new save object. And then over here I'm basically just going to save it, money equals this money, power amount equals this power amount, or population equals this. And yep, there you go. Just like this, I'm already saving all of this data. So I construct this, and in case you don't know, over here for these two, even though they have the exact same name, they are referring to different things. So here's a quick Visual Studio tip in case you don't know, which is if you put the cursor on something, it will highlight the things that that one represents. So as I highlight on this symbol, you can see that it belongs to this symbol. These are the same thing, but but you can see this one is not highlighted. Which means this one over here, even though it's saying the exact same thing, because it's on a different scope, that means this one is not referencing the exact same symbol as this one. Whereas if I mouse over this one, you can see how these two are not going to be highlighted because they are not the same symbol, whereas this one up here, this one is indeed highlighted. So that is a very crucial thing. Always keep in mind how in code you can have two things that have the exact same name, but if they are on different scopes, they don't represent the same thing. And yep, Mauricio over here mentioning this dot. Yes, if you want, you can just use this dot, and so on. So yep, this is also perfectly valid code. So if you want to make things a little bit less confusing, more straightforward, if so, you can definitely do this. Now, over here, Visual Studio even gives you a little warning saying this is useless. So yeah, if you want, for clarification, by all means add this. But for me, I'm very used to understanding how scope works. So for me, I'm perfectly fine with just omitting. And there you go, that one works quite nicely. Otto, thank you for the super chat. A nice little profile. Can race conditions be a problem here? Uh, Technically, I guess that depends on how exactly are you saving things, but for the most part, usually the save doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if you save the resource manager before the building manager. Those shouldn't really matter too much, so I don't think there could be an issue with race conditions on a save system, because again, usually you don't really... I'm trying to think of what are the scenarios where you would have a race condition with a save system, and I can't quite see it. I mean, I guess you are constantly generating things, but even if you have a save, and the save is off by literally just 1 unit, even if so, that's not likely going to be a big issue. So I don't think so. At least right now, I can't quite figure out a scenario where a race condition would be an issue here. So no, I don't think so. They recently had some built-in list serialization. Did they? I know on 6.6 they finally added dictionary serialization. So maybe that's what you mean. But other than that, I'm not sure. Race condition might apply if one loaded element requires data from another. Oh, race condition that's an... Oh, okay. I was thinking a different way. Yes, there is, and yeah, you definitely do need those. Race conditions in those methods. Oh, these. I mean, these are just integers, and I'm... Technically, yes, technically this could cause a race condition if you were to use something multi-thread, but over here, this is a very simple game. There's no multi-threading whatsoever, so no issues. Even though, yes, this could definitely very much be a race condition. So for that, you need some kind of lock using this, do this, then unlock and so on. So yes, you can, if you were to use multi-threaded code, then yes, you would have to protect this, but it's just a basic game. There's no multi-threading here, so yep, no need for that issue. Should not use a struct for the same object. You can, yeah. Literally over here, it makes no difference. Struct or class, doesn't really matter. So yes, either one, the way that we're going to use it, literally both works the same way. So making it a struct, making it a class, doesn't really matter. Me, I just tend to make class just by default. I don't know, for no specific reason. Both work perfectly fine. Anyways, so here I've got a nice save object, and like I said, for my save systems, I really like using simple JSON in order to save my data, and thankfully Unity has the JSON utility class, and this one you can convert any kind of object into JSON. So over here, I'm just going to convert this save object straight into JSON. Let's do a debug.log on this one, and we can see exactly what this is going to print. So over here, let me just add some little testing code. So over here, private void update. Let's go keyboard current on the T key and was pressed as frame, and really just call save just for debug. Let's try to see if that one is actually going to save some data. So let's go back and try to see that. Just join. What are we making the save system? A, for gaining knowledge, B, for fun, and C, it's the challenge that I'm following on my practice lab. So yes. All right, so let's see if this one works. So let's go, and right now everything is on 0, 0, and then 3. And if I press on T, and yep, there you go, it did save. Power amount, money, population, so on. If I add a bunch more, so a bunch of office buildings, a bunch of power plants, a bunch of things. So over there, I've got, let's say, 50, 10, 9, click. There you go, 21, 69. Yep, awesome. All right, so yep, just like this, basically got already quite a lot of data being saved, or rather being stored. It's not actually being saved just yet, but this is really the core concept behind every kind of save system that I've always done. So if you understand this part, then you basically understand everything, because everything else is literally just building upon this. But this is really the crucial part. You define some kind of class that stores some kind of save object, all the data that you do want to save. And then you've got a simple save function, then of course a load function that does the opposite, and that's basically it. So even though this pattern is extremely simple, it is extremely adaptable. So basically every single game that I've ever made, no matter how simple or how complex, the save logic that I've always used has always been exactly like this. Define a save object, define a save function, and load function, and yep, this is extremely versatile. So yeah, thanks so much for the super chat. Another one, hey Ponderado, how's it going? Hugo, could you consider sometime taking a look at the Phantom Navigator asset? Ready to help my workflow? It seems like pro devs are loving it. We'll provide you a key. I mean, I don't really do requests on like asset reviews, so not really, but I do check the new assets list every single month. So yeah, if you've published it recently, then maybe I'll look at it next month, something like that. So yeah. So yeah, thank you, and I hope it's doing well. Yeah, so pro devs are loving it. So yeah, great job. Yeah, congrats on making a nice asset. That's cool. Hey, Rosev, thank you for the super chat. How would you save the state of individual buildings beyond just position? Properties like upgrades or just simple variables, some kind of DTO. Not sure what that acronym means, DTO. But yeah, for the most part, you can convert any kind of data into into simple data, into serializable data, like we're going to see in a little bit. So actually, honestly, I might have been a little bit too too ambitious in trying to say that that I was going to build this in 1 hour, because yeah, if I'm running by myself, I can build a safe system in like 30 minutes. That's very easy. But if I'm recording a tutorial video, that probably takes like 1 to 2 hours. And if I'm doing a live stream and constantly answering questions, I guess it might take me a little bit of time. So all of that to say, basically, I will answer that question when I get to the part where I am saving the individual building types, because those are transforms, and you cannot store a transform inside JSON. A transform is not an actual serializable data, so that does not work. So data transfer objects. Okay, so yeah, so it is literally that. Basically, a transform is not serializable data, so you cannot save a transform. So you have to figure out different ways of saving it. So if you want a little spoiler on how I'm going to do that, basically I'm going to create a list of scriptable objects where each scriptable object defines a building type, and then I'm just going to save an index that refers to that specific scriptable object. And then when loading, instead of saving some kind of transform, I'm going to just save the index of that scriptable object. And then on load, I just check that index, I check against the array, and I see, okay, so this object with index 2 actually refers to a house, so I'm just going to instantiate the house transform. That is basically about it. But for the most part, yes, any kind of data, if you use JSON, or really any kind of safe system, I think, you always need something that is serializable, so yes. Wait, why isn't transform serializable? Doesn't just consist of position? Not quite. Actually, now I'm curious, because technically each file over here has a metadata, so maybe you could save that, but no, you cannot serialize a transform. A transform is basically an object in memory, so you can't really do that, so you need some different way of referencing this a building, this a house, this a power plant, and so on, so you need different ways. But anyways, like I said, that's basically problem for the future, so let's worry about that in a little bit. Over here, let's continue on this one. And where was my thing? Okay, so I've got the save. Then let's do a private void load. And we do a load function. Load is going to be literally the exact same thing. So we've got some kind of string for some kind of JSON. That is a JSON that we just saved. And then we've got the save object, and basically do JSON utility dot from JSON of type save object, and just pass in our JSON just like that. And that's it, super simple. So basically, this is how you serialize a JSON and how you deserialize it. And then over here, I've got the save object dot money, and I just do this money equals that save object dot money, and same thing for the other two, for the power amount and the population. And there you go, I basically just do that. So, so up here, let's just do another nice debug key. So let's go for the T key, for the Y key, and over here, let's do a load. And yep, just like that, it should work. I need to actually save that JSON, which I think I actually do have it over here on my console. Okay, so let me just copy this. Let me go into this one. For now, of course, I'm just baking that data, and let me just get rid of the rest of it. So this is all the JSON data that we need, just like this. So let's see if saving and loading, let's see if that one does work. So over here, let's load. Okay, and then press on Y, and there you go, it did work. Awesome, there it is. So as you can see, it is literally that simple. So as I press on Y, look at that, all the data basically was saved. So I can save, I can load. Right now I can place a bunch more things, and I'm going to increase those numbers by quite a little bit. So let me just spam a bunch of stuff. That is going to be way too intense. Okay, all those numbers increasing like a massive amount. I'm going to press on T to save this data. There you go, I've saved that data. So 210, 374, 15. So now I go back here, I manually write the JSON, which of course I'm going to sort that out in a little bit, because obviously it should not be manual. So I save that, and now as I go and as I load it, basically it is going to load that exact same amount, which is going to be quite fun. There you go. Why? There you go. I've got the data. So just like this, just with this pattern, like I said, you can already see literally how I'm going to save any kind of data that I want. So yeah, for example, like I said, for every single one of my Steam games, so for example, for GameCorp DX, for this one, how did I save all this data? of all of the characters walking around, all of them working, all these projects, all that money. How did I save that data? Literally like that. I've got a save object, contains a bunch of data and so on. How did I save data in Dinky Guardians? Again, the exact same thing. I just got some serializable data. That one saves. Oh, there's this Dinky over here. He's working on this task with this machine, and this character exists over here and is doing this task on this thing. And yep, that's basically it. So even though it seems complex to save, for example, all of this data, in reality, no, in reality, it is all literally just this. It is just a composition of multiple save objects where each of them contains a specific amount of data. And then it's really just adding more things on top of one another. And once you do, yep, you can save literally any kind of data that you want. So, yeah, okay. So basically now let's actually try to go for the next step. And next step is going to be of trying to actually save this data as opposed to just copy pasting over here. So, hey, the shirt, yeah, I'm glad you like it. It's one of my favorite shirts. It is so cool. Though you can't actually see the whole thing. Look at that. That is awesome. That is super cool. I don't remember what I got this, but yeah, one of my favorite shirts. Very nice, yeah. Does JSON get saved to a JSON file on the player save system? You can. Right now, it is literally not doing anything. It is just saving onto the console. That's it. But yep, over here, basically, I have a string. And now I can do with a string whatever I want. I can save it wherever I want. So yes, that is what I'm going to be doing. Oh, hey, 2 people from Morocco. That is cool. Nice. Watching almost a year. Oh, really? I want to thank you sincerely. First YouTuber I watched when I started my journey last year. Oh, that's cool. My games really seem awesome. Congratulations. That is super cool. Nice. Congrats on that. I mean, again, a lot of people don't actually reach that point. They start learning and they don't actually push through it to release. So, yep, massive congratulations. That is really awesome. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope the game did quite well. That is awesome. Do you use Newtonsoft JSON? I have used it a few times because JSON utility does have some limitations. I think it was on dictionaries or something like that. I don't know. But so yes, sometimes I do use that. But in order to try to use as fewer dependencies as possible, for that, I'm just using Unity's own built-in JSON utility. And that's basically it. Okay, so anyway, so basically over here, I've got a string for JSON. And I've got the kind of JSON that I do want. And now I got to save this somewhere. And now when it comes to saving persistent data, a lot of people sometimes try to use player prefs, which this one technically works. You can do a set string and you can save anything. So I can put here like save data and then save the JSON. This works, this is valid. Then on load, I could actually load this. However, once this does work, it is not accurate, it is not correct. This is not the correct use case for this. Player prefs is really awesome, but like the name implies, it is meant to be really for player preferences. It is not meant to be save data, that kind of thing. No, it's meant to be things like resolution, key bindings, that sort of thing. It is not meant for save data. So even though technically this does work, no, you should not use this. So instead, you should use some other different method. And the easiest way is literally just saving some kind of data on some kind of file. That's basically it. And since JSON is a simple string, that makes it insanely easy to save stuff. We can use file inside system.io. And here we've got just write all text because JSON is text. So in theory, if we were to use a more complex data format, something that was binary, we could write all bytes. But over here, we can literally use the simplest thing of all. We can just use write all text. And now whenever I use this, whenever I mention about this, about using JSON and simple text for a safe system, people always mention basically two things. So number one, won't people actually be able to hack the save files? And the answer is yes. Yes, they can. And my answer to that is don't worry about it. I mean, if you're making a single player game, if the players are playing just for fun, if they want to cheat on their save game, I say just let them do it. It's in single player. It doesn't really matter. If you're playing a game kind of like Skyrim by your own, does it really matter if the player quote unquote cheats and gives himself 1,000 gold? No, it doesn't really matter. So don't waste your time trying to like encrypt your save file or being concerned about, oh, the player is going to cheat. It's a single player game. If they want to cheat, just let them cheat. And conversely, if it is multiplayer, then of course you don't want them to cheat. But if it is multiplayer, the answer is never trust the client. So this kind of data would never exist on the player side if this was a multiplayer game. So yep, basically that is never quite an issue. So do not worry about encryption, that sort of thing, trying to hide it. No, this is plain text and it is intentional meant to be. If the players want to cheat, they can cheat, fine, then just let them. That's basically it, yeah. There's leaderboards. If there is leaderboards, then again, it's the same thing as multiplayer. Basically, don't trust the client. So if you do have a leaderboard, then you should have all kinds of validation on the server itself, as opposed to being just a player saying, oh, I beat this level and I got 1,000,000 points. No, it shouldn't be like that. If you are concerned with leaderboards, then, like I said, the answer is always never trust the client, never ever trust the clients. So if validation is important, you should never trust anything that comes from the client. So yep, If you have those concerns, then you should be using a completely different method. But for 99% of games that are single-player games, simple games, for those, yep, this works perfectly fine. So yeah, simply write alt text, and over here on this one, then we can write, and then for the path, over here you can write something like something like C Windows something. You can write a path manual like that, except of course that is pretty terrible, so you should not do that. So instead, thankfully, Unity has application.datapath, and this basically contains the path to a game folder data on the current device. So over here, if I do a debug log on this guy right here, let's try to see what exactly does this one print. Over here, if we play, and you should be able to see this contains basically the assets folder. And there you go, right there. C, Unity, CodeMonkey, Game Dev Practice Lab 0, and there you go, the assets folder. So that is basically what it ends. That is the path that we have on this one. And based on that, so we can use this as some kind of folder. So we can run alt text onto that, and then just put savefile.json. Now one thing is I always forget if this one ends with a backspace or not. So I always add it. Either way, thankfully, you can add as many as you want. Doesn't really matter. So I always add it, but I always forget. Does it have it? Okay, it doesn't have it. So yeah, good that I do add it. And then finally for the contents, it is simply just JSON, and that's basically it. So as we do this, we are going to save our file. So debug.log. So save data. And there you go. We are going to save a whole bunch of data. Is the save system the same for consoles? Actually, that's a good question because I don't know how consoles handle saving persistent data. But either way, if it is, I assume you have to use like the Xbox SDK in order to save persistent data. You can't literally just write text files, I assume. So yeah, that would not work on consoles, but you would. But literally everything else is the same. So you still have save objects, you still convert it into JSON, you still load it, and so on. Everything is the same. So if you are working on consoles or mobile, literally this is the only part that changes, because on consoles I don't think you can save individual files. So you would have to use their own API to save some kind of cloud data, and that's basically it. But again, literally this is the only thing that changes. Everything else is the same, regardless of making PC games, console, mobile, whatever you want to make. Everything else is exactly the same. That's basically it. So anyways, let's try doing this, and let's try to see, does this actually save my saved data? So over here I'm going to place a bunch of things, get a bunch of resources, press on T, and that one says save data. And now if I go over here on the project, and if I look in my files, and right now, there you go, I've got a nice little save file, and there you go, here's my simple JSON data. There it is, very basic. I've got everything saved, and now it's saved as an actual save file. Which means now I can actually do the opposites over here for this one. I can go into JSON utility, or actually not JSON, sorry, file.read all text, and read all text from the same path. So on this one, like this, I can read that one. That is going to be my string JSON, and then I can load it just like this. So now I can save and load, and everything should work perfectly fine. So as I go this, and as I load, I should be able to see that one. So 39 money and 12 population. Press on Y, and there you go, 39 money, 12 population. All right, awesome. Persistent data path works better. I think persistent, if you're making games on PC, normally I just use this one. I think persistent data path goes to the save, the user something. I always forget what you call it. Like on Windows, it's the user app, that sort of thing. I always forget the name, but yes, technically you can use either of those. I think if you are using, there you go, it goes into the username, app data, local low, something, something. So yes, if you want, you can also use that. Although me personally, I like my save files to exist next to the actual game data. I don't want them to exist in the user data, which is very far away. That seems very strange. So no, I want to have a simple save folder and then my save files, which leads me to the next thing, which is, let's put this inside an actual saves folder. So let's put it like this. And by the way, you might be questioning, okay, isn't this a bunch of copy-paste code right here and right here? Yes, that is correct, and I'm going to fix that in a little bit. But anyway, so let's see if this one does work. Let's do another quick test, and we should actually see that it is not working. Why is it not spawning buildings? Because right now, I am not currently saving buildings. I'm currently just focusing on saving this data, and that's basically it. So anyways, as I place a bunch of things, and I press on T, and there you go, I've got a nice error. Directory not found exception. So yeah, this is something, it's an error that you are always going to have when you deal with any kind of save data account like this, because you're probably going to forget to create this folder. At least to me, that happens to me all the time. So anyways, now it's time to actually start defining this. So over here, let's define, even though we're not going to be using this, we're going to use a proper save system once you refactor this code, which I guess is another great moment to mention how refactoring is a perfectly natural part of the process. This is how I actually build my game. So first I start building, let's say, a save system on just one specific system, and then of course I generalize it so I can save every single type of data that I do want. So anyways, over here I can define a private const string, even though it can't actually be a string, for the save folder, and it will be application data path plus the saves folder like this. Except this is not doable because data path, that one only exists at runtime. So because that, I cannot make it a constant, but thankfully I can make it basically the same thing, or almost the same thing, make it static and make it read only. And there you go. That is as close to a constant as it can be. Basically, the only difference is constant is defined at compile time, whereas a static read-only, that is defined basically as soon as this code is actually running. So yeah, here we've got a nice little save folder, and then down here I can just do that. And first of all, like I said, if, and now here's the one that I always forget. I never know if it's directory info or directory. I think it is directory that exists, because it has both of those, and I never know which one it is. So either way, if directory does not exist, directory.create directory of this one right here, and then I can basically save it, and it should be easy. And I do believe I added that one. I did. So I can do my save folder, and over here my save folder, then my save file.json. Okay, I don't need that, just the save file, just like this, and there you go. And now this should be working without that issue. It should basically be automatically creating the saves folder, and then it should be fun. Yeah. Was City Builder made live? Nope, I made it just on my own time as I was preparing things for the practice lab, but yes. So anyways, like this, press on T, there you go, save data. And if I look in the project, and actually this is something interesting, over here, no, you don't see any kind of folder. And if I quit, and actually there it is over there. So basically Unity only refreshes this either when you stop playing Interplay, or if you want to refresh it manually. Here's a quick tip: you can press Ctrl R, that is basically going to refresh over here. So if you add any kind of files and they don't show up here, press Ctrl R and it's going to basically refresh them. So anyway, here we've got the saves, and we've got the save file, and there's our data. All right, so that is quite awesome. Okay. Now let us continue. Tried using AI in your workflows beyond that one tutorial video. We tried other models. I know Theo loves GPT-5.6 and Claude Fable. Not really. Again, when it comes to code, I'm not a big fan of AI just because it doesn't really work with my workflow. Or rather, every time that I've tried it, I found that I'm less efficient using AI than I am without it. I am much better at just writing the code myself. Whereas trying to prompt the AI, and then it gives me some kind of code, but it's not the kind of code that I want, so I got to prompt it again, I got to do it again, and so on. So for me, it is literally just easier, just write the code myself. So for me, the best use case for AI is not for actually the writing code, but more for the brainstorming part. So if I've got a problem that I don't know how to solve, I just ask the AI, okay, tell me, how should I structure this kind of code, this kind of system? Give me like 10 different ideas, and then I can basically use my own brain and see, oh, okay, so this architecture would be good. Now I know, now I've picked it, now I'm just going to write the code myself. So yes, I'm not a big fan of using it for literally just writing code, but basically for that works out quite nicely. So yeah, for brainstorming, it is quite fun. Hey John, yeah, drop for work lunch. All right, yeah, enjoy. Yep, everything is nice and saved. So yeah, enjoy that one. All right, okay. So we already have the actual logic being saved, the resource manager. So I press on Y, and there you go. That one is being saved. So technically over here, the first objective, that one is successfully made. We are saving and loading resource amounts. That works. Now here comes the more challenging part, basically the building placement. So as I place all these buildings, I got to figure out how am I going to place all these buildings? Or how am I going to save all this data? How do I exit? And how do I know, okay, on this specific grid position, there was a power plant placed on here. So when I load, I got to replace this one over here. So this is the more tricky part, because like we're going to see, this is a transform, which we cannot save. So anyways, the way that we're going to do this is, first of all, the way that this little mini game is set up over here on the scripts, there is basically, and thank you so much for the super chat. So over here on the scene view, we can see we've got a place building area container, and inside of the way that I built this one is kind of like this. So basically just got individual positions for each built area, and I'm using a simple physics, which is not a scalable solution, but for a super simple mini game, so for the purposes of this challenge, works out perfectly fine. So I've got a simple box collider, and then I've got a script that basically hits against this one, tries to find if it does have this component, and if so, just adds a building onto it. So here's what we have. We have the place building area. So it's over here that we basically want to save this data. So like I said, let's follow the exact same pattern. So public class, and we're going to define some kind of save object class. And inside we're going to save whatever that we want. Then we have a void save function. We're going to save, and a public void load function, and we're going to load something. So now here's the question. Now for the save object over here, you would think, okay, so this one has a building transform, so let's do literally what we did previously. So let's put this one like this, make it public, and we save a building transform. So over here, save object, construct a brand new save object, and for the building transform, we use literally this building transform, we have that, and then we do a debug.log on JSON utility, and I don't know why I put that, utility.toJSON for this save object. So you would think that this kind of logic would work, but it's not really going to work. So let me go and do this. Let me add a little bit of testing. So I don't want to have an insane amount of messages. So let me actually just put if is empty return, just because I don't want things that are empty to print this. And then over here, let's add some nice debug. So private void update. Let's check keyboard.current, and for the keyboard, I'm missing this one, input system. tkey.was presses frame. For this one, let's call save like this. And on the resource manager, let's actually remove the debugs over here because we no longer need them. We're going to use this code, but not the debugs. So anyways, yep, we have this, and now let's see what exactly is this going to print. Is this going to save this data or not? Let us see and try out. Yeah. Could you train the AI on your massive library of code to write it according to your preferences and style? I could, but again, it will still never be, at least from my experience, from what I've used it, it never works out quite exactly like I want it to. So from my experience, it always ends up like that. It always ends up like, I might as well just write it myself. Now, maybe that's because I haven't used it too much, because I do know those tools have massively increased. And the biggest experiment that I did with that was like, at least like 1 year ago. So very much a long time ago since I gave a serious try to actively trying to use AI. So maybe things are much better nowadays, but yes, basically my experience was that it is definitely very frustrating. So anyways, let's save one of this, a power plant, and now as I press on T, and yep, there you go, look at that. We've got an instance ID and we've got a negative number. And now over here on this one, we can see how this doesn't actually contain an object, doesn't actually contain, how do I know which prefab this one actually is? It doesn't actually have any kind of data that we could use to identify that one, because I'm pretty sure the instance ID, that one is defined at runtime. So that doesn't really help us. This kind of data, we can save this, but then how exactly do we load? We can't load because this is referencing some kind of data that is in memory. So out of this data, once we quit the game and come back again, there won't be nothing with this specific ID. So this data over here is useless. We can't really save this. So this is where this part actually becomes quite a bit tricky. Over here, we can't save the building transform. So how exactly do we have some kind of serializable data where we can save what exactly is the building that is stored over here? So basically for that one, like I was saying a while ago, the best way possible is just to have some kind of way of defining a type, and then we just save what is that type, and then on load, instead of assuming that save data contains the transform, no, we just get the type, and as soon as you load, basically just instantiate that type, and that's basically it. So that is essentially what we're going to do, define the type for all of these various buildings. And the way that we define types, the best way to define types is using scriptable objects. If you don't know about them, I have a very nice video on scriptable objects. These are really excellent, this one right here. So if you don't know about scriptable objects, I really recommend that you learn about them. Oh, why is that link so massive? I don't know. I really recommend that you learn about them. Scriptable objects, they are so insanely useful. I would say they are a must in basically any single game. So yes, definitely I recommend that you learn about them, and it is what we're going to be using right here. Oh hey, someone else on Twitch. That is cool. Thank you. Thanks for being here. That's fun. Yeah. It's 1 AM in Vietnam. Oh really? Oh, thanks for being here so late. Nice. Preparing your own database, bring back prefabs with IDs when loading. Or do you use something like addressable? I use sort of prefabs with IDs. Not literally that, but like I was saying, yeah, basically I define a type, then I save just the index of that type, and then on load, I basically check that index and check that, which is basically what I'm going to do right now. Oh, hey there, how's it going? Hey everyone, yeah. Find myself moving towards more data-oriented stuff, like massive list of objects, spreadsheet get generated and turned to objects. Nice, that's cool, yeah. How well does practicing making 2D games translate to making 3D games? Very well. Is it worth making a lot of 2D games to practice if your intent is to make 3D games? Yes, because a lot of logic does not change. Basically, the difference between 2D and 3D is literally just like 5%, like 95% of the rest, it is going to be literally the exact same thing. So yes, you can definitely learn how to make 3D games by making a ton of 2D games. In fact, my games, the games that I do have on Steam, Dim Guardians, this was my very first game that was actually in 3D, just because by then I learned how to use the Assessor, because I'm not an artist, so I can't build assets. So all of these other games, all of these are 2D games. So I made all of these 2D games. Then my Flash games, those are also all 2D games. So I made all of these, and then I made a 3D game because I was finally able to use the Assessor. I was able to actually get assets. So yes, basically all the knowledge that I gained by making all these games, all these 2D games, I then apply that to my 3D game, and that worked out quite nice, yeah. A viewer stream boo, I don't know what that means. So, right, so let's define an actual type. So the way that I define type is very easy. So I want to define a type for buildings, so very simple, building type, and then I like to append SO to the end to define it's a scriptable object, and that's basically it. So now as we open this instead of being a mono behavior, this one is a scriptable object, and then over here I can define whatever that I want. And in order to create the scriptable object, I need the create asset menu. And there you go, just a basic scriptable object. So now I can define what kind of data do I want for this specific scriptable object. In this case, I'm pretty sure I just need the building prefab, or at least right now I think that's all I need. So the building prefab, just define this one, and that's my scriptable object. So now I can go back into my code, and now I can actually create those scriptable objects that define a building. So I like to keep them organized, my scriptable objects. And then over here, let's create a brand new one, and a scriptable object, it is going to be down here, the building type SO. Let's define one for the house. And then for the building prefab over there, I'm just going to go into my prefabs and the house, just drag it, then duplicate this one. One is going to be the office, and one is going to be the power plant. And for the power plant, it has that prefab, and the office has that prefab right there. So yep, here I've got three nice scriptable objects, but again, I still don't have the index that I was talking about. That is why I also like making another thing. Anytime that I make a scriptable object, or almost anytime, almost every time that I do, I also create a different one, and I call it building type list SO. And this one literally just contains a list of all of those. So this one right here, this one is also going to be a scriptable object. I'm also going to create it. And then over here, public a list of building type SO, building type SO list, and just contain this list just like this. And now back over here, I can basically construct a brand new list. So on these scriptable objects, I construct a brand new building type list SO. And for name, usually I like to put it with an underscore just so it's end up on top. This is alphabetical in case you don't know. I've got that one, and then over here, I can just, here's another quick tip. If you want to drag multiple things, instead of dragging them just one by one like this, which is pretty painful, instead of that, you can just lock the inspector, select all three, drag all three, unlock the inspector, and there you go, you've got all three right there. Awesome, so now we've got a list of all of our building types. So now we can easily see, okay, when we're saving a house, instead of trying to say, okay, I'm saving a house, instead of that, I'm just saving index 0 on this building type SO list. So then on load, I can go back into this list. I can see index 0, it's a house. Oh, so on this save position, I should build this house. Let's put it basically just like that. Oh, a bit the same. It's basically an index database for all your objects. Yep, for the most part, that's basically it. That's like the recipe list from Kitchen Chaos, literally, yes. That is awesome, and that is a super cool thing because, yes, that is a very practical example of how you can reuse so many things from so many different places. So, yes. Whenever you come up with some kind of useful pattern in building your games, you can then just reuse that pattern over and over again, and yep, everything works out quite nicely, yeah. We're making 2D games, but always wondered why not just practice with 3D. You can also do that if you want. You made Game Corp. Oh, you need Game Corp. Oh, nice. I'm glad you liked it. That's cool, yeah. You know, look back when I was doing game dev years ago. Nice. I'm still using some of the concepts. That is cool. So I do embedded dev with C now. Oh, that sounds cool. I'd love to do some embedded programming. That sounds so awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. That is awesome, yeah. So I want to have an AI roundtable discussion. Okay, that would be quite an interesting discussion, yeah. So we can just save position, state, and something in the SO. No, 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 we're not using the SO for save data. The SO just defines the type. That's it. The save object, that is the one that contains, okay, this save object contains this SO, which contains this. So actually, let's go and do that. So over here, the place building area. So we already saw that we can't really do this. We can't save the transform. So instead we can save an int for the building type SO index. And this is what we're going to save. So over here, we just need to store that one and basically need to know what is the index for this one, which means we actually need to refactor a bunch of code because this guy right here, this one does not know what is the building type SO. So we need to store that. So building type SO for the building type SO. So this one needs to know this. So let's actually refactor a bunch of code over here on add building. Instead of adding the building kind of like this, instead of this code passing in that one, we need to refactor. Instead of having an active building prefab, we need to have an active building type SO. So let's refresh this. Active building type SO. Rename all this building type SO. We have this, and then for default, let's define a default building type SO. Building type SO, default building type SO. We have this is the default. Okay, and then down here, when selecting this one. Okay, let's actually use the other one since I've got that one. So let's go with the house building type SO. Then we've got the other two. We've got the, what is it called, factory? No, the office building, and then the power plant. So that one contains the house. This one is the house like that. This one is the office, and this one right here, this one is the power plant. Okay, so that works. And then over here, we're going to go into the active building type SO, and we're going to instantiate the building prefab. Except again, the home point is that the place building area needs to know that. So on this one, instead of add building receiving that, receive a building type SO, and this one is going to store this building type SO. And then for the building transform, instead of doing that, basically just going to do all this instantiation right inside of this one right here. So instantiate the building type SO dot building prefab on this transform with that 0 and random direction. Okay, and over here instead of that, we just pass in that one and pass in the active kind of like this. All right, so we refactored a bunch of code. That should be good. And this one right now should know the building type SO. Now we're still not using it, so let's actually just erase this. As always, when you do some kind of refactor, you should basically go back and make sure that everything is still working correctly. So let's go, actually it's on the city builder over here. Let's make sure that one, but we do have an error missing. All right, this one right here. Let's not do that. Okay, we got those. Let's drag those references. Like I was saying, whenever you refactor something, you always need to do a quick test to make sure that your refactor did not break anything. Because that's the whole point. When you're refactoring something, you want to maintain the exact same behavior, but just write the code in different ways. So there you go. I can place houses, I can place office buildings, I can place power plants. Okay, so the behavior still works exactly the same, but we made a very important change, which is we changed from working with just transform, just prefabs, to now working with an actual scriptable object, which means we have access to any data that we want to place in the scriptable object, which also means we have data to what is this scriptable object, which means we can access this list, and from this list we can get the index that we do want. So we're getting close there. We're getting very close. What do you think about the event buzz? Should I implement it instead of regular events? I have used that in the past. Like a while ago, we were talking about my game, GameCorp DX. And back when I was making these games, back in 2015, I did actually like that pattern, the event buzz. That I'm pretty sure this game does use that. So the event buzz is a nice pattern. I do like it. I do enjoy it. But recently, and by recently I mean like the last 8 years, I guess I've stopped using that and I just use regular events. Just because the event buzz is nice, but it means that every single class in your game is tightly coupled to the event buzz itself. If you remove the event buzz, everything breaks. Whereas if you have normal events, if you just remove anything that you want, nothing breaks because nothing is tightly coupled with anything. So that is the only reason that I don't necessarily like it, is because it makes one central god class that everything connects to it. And if you remove this thing, everything breaks. So I don't like how it's tightly coupled to everything else. So because of that, I'm not a huge fan of that. And by contrast, normal events, they just work perfectly fine. They are not tightly coupled to anything. Just fire off an event. Doesn't matter if anyone listens to it. That's about it. So yes, but again, that is not a, let's say, a very strong opinion. So I don't hate the event buzz. So if you use event buzzes, I don't think that's a mistake. Just me personally, I think just using regular events, I find that better, cleaner, but I don't hate the event bus. So yes, if you like to use them, I'm okay with that. Like I said, in my previous games, I've made many games where I use the event bus pattern, and that worked out quite nicely. So yes, if you don't like it, use it. But me personally, over the years, I've switched from that to just using basically regular events. Yeah. Hey, yeah. I'm here. I'm trying to keep track. It's very difficult to keep track of chats, especially two chats, and work at the same time. That is tricky. Where's your League of Legends rank? I mean, I stopped playing League like 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure I reached gold. I was never very good. No, League was definitely one of those rage games for me. So I played it non-stop for like 5 years, but never became really good. And until I realized that it was really just poison in my life. I would play the game and I would just get annoyed every single time. So yeah, I eventually quit League. So yeah, nowadays I think you got like legendary or something, you got like 10 different ranks, and the game's only changed in the past 10 years. So yeah, I have no idea what it looks like now. Hey Raymond, how's it going? How many people are on Twitch? Just curious. And it's got 4 viewers. That's fun, yeah. It is nice because, yeah. And on YouTube, there are almost 200 people. That is fun. Thank you all so much for being here on a random, what is it, Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Nice, yeah. Plan on making and releasing more games. If yes, what kind of game ideas you have? I do. And there's actually a game that I did announce literally like 2 years ago. Here it is, Total Liberation. I announced this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I announced this like 3 years ago. It was before Dinky Guardians. It's a super cool idea. I definitely want to get back to it. In fact, last year, my goal was this year, 2026, I was going to finally work on this game, finally finish it. But yeah, there's just too many things that I want to do and not enough time for me to do it. So yeah, that's that's basically it. I always have to pick things to work on. And yeah, right now I've got so many things that I'm working on that I don't have time to work on a game. But eventually, hopefully, oh boy, and look at that. You can actually see, there you go. That was the release date, Q3 23. Now we are 3 years later, and nope, definitely not. That's what happens with deadlines. They are very, very hard to stick to. So yes, eventually I would very much love to get back to this game. I still think it's a really cool idea, really nice. So yeah, hopefully one day, but yeah, no idea when, so we shall see, yeah. Let's go for the stream. Yeah, I'm basically just having fun doing a challenge live on stream. Demoing the practice lab. Yeah, sort of a demo. Yeah, basically just having fun building a save system. Save systems are always fun, so let's do that. Okay, so let's actually continue. And for continuing, I mean, okay, so now we have a list scriptable object, and then we've got individual scriptable objects. But now, of course, over here on the place building area, we need to know how exactly do we access this data? How do we access the building type assemble list? We don't have it over here. Now, technically, we could have a serialized field over here and then add it, but over here I've got literally like 100 different building areas, so I'd have to select all of these and drag the same scriptable object. That could work, but I don't like that. Usually you want to try to avoid having, let's say, copy-pasted references all over the place. Usually you want to centralize it as much as possible. So on this, one thing that I really like whenever I have this kind of problem, the problem where I need to reference something in my code, but I don't have it here. So how do I get an easy access to a reference, any kind of reference in my code? Whenever I do that, then there's a really nice pattern that I like to use, and it is something that I call asset references. Even though actually this is quite fun. This is actually something that it's a pattern that I've used myself for literally over a decade at this point, like 2 decades. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I started using this in Flash. So over 2 decades I've been using this, and actually just sort of recently, like in the past few years, I changed the name. Because if you look, this pattern that I'm going to talk about is actually something that I mentioned. Can I even find it? Game assets. No, it doesn't showcase. Oh, there you go, right there. So this pattern that I'm going to show you here is the pattern that I use over here in this tutorial that I covered 8 years ago, referencing assets through code. The only difference is that over here, I basically used to call it game assets for the longest time, but then I realized it's not really about assets, it's more about references. So because that, yeah, now I call it just asset references, and I think that makes a little bit more sense. Anyways, yeah, so over here, the way this pattern works is, again, I want to solve the problem of having, oh boy. Yeah, refresh, everything went down. Why does everything always go down? Why does everything always go down? I don't know, it actually seems to be pretty good in terms of memory. So anyways, I think it's fine. That always happens, so yeah, I think it's fine. Okay, where was I? Okay, so as the references, so the problem that we're trying to solve is that we want to have an easy direct reference from the code itself. Did I? Oh, getting into 4K. That's cool. Oh boy, I'm getting distracted. So the problem we're trying to solve is we want to get a nice, easy direct reference through code. So over here, I want to have something like a public. And again, this is yet another exception. The public, this is just a read-only data container. That is why I'm okay with making it public. Building type list SO, building type list SO. I want to have this guy right here. And then I want to access it somehow. And thankfully, one way to access it is I can make a static asset references an instance and with a get and a private set. So I can use a simple singleton pattern on awake. I do this, instance equals this. So I can use the singleton pattern, and then over here, now I can actually use that. I can go inside the asset references, the instance, and I can grab the building type list SO. And there I go, I've got that one, and over here I can actually do an index of, grab the list, index of, and the index of this building type SO, and there you go, I saved that one. So now I've got some actual valid code. Except over here, this one, now I need to actually place this in the scene, and that can be quite annoying. So for example, the way that I do this now is now over here, I just create one of these, an asset references. I create this one, I attach this one, I reset that one, and over here I assign my data. And this is great, this does work, but now if I load this into a different scene, it is not going to work. Whereas I like to keep this, basically this class usable across any kind of scene that I want. So usually what I do is I make this a prefab and I get rid of it from the scene. And for the prefab, I actually use something really awesome called resources. This is a special folder inside Unity and you can basically just load those. So I put that one inside the resources. And over here on this one for the instance, I define a private static asset references instance lowercase. And on get, basically, I'm going to, oh boy, get. I almost forget the syntax for this one. So on get, I'm going to return the instance, but first I'm going to check if instance equals null. If the instance equals null, resources.load, and I'm going to resource name of with this exact same name, asset references like this. So I'm going to load that instance equals this guy right here, and I'm basically just going to load that, and I've got to load it as, does this have generics? I don't actually remember. I think it does. I think it does actually work quite like that. So basically, and I can actually remove the set right, and I don't set it over here on awake. So basically like this, whenever I access it, the instance is going to be null, and it's basically going to load that from resources, and then basically going to use it, and like this, yep, it will be quite nice. Let me be more scalable, store a reference to the scriptable object data on the prefab, and have the object get the file name of its own, so a reference to the scriptable object data on the prefab and have the object get the file name of its own scriptable object data at save and use Okay, I'm trying to understand. So a reference of the scriptable object data on the prefab, so like on this prefab, store that data. I'm not sure I mean what you, I understand. Oh. Okay, yes, you could. I'm not a fan of that. So basically you're saying, why can't I, over here on these prefabs, basically just add a new model behavior over here that contains a reference to the scriptable object. And then over here on this one, I basically go inside this building transform that I've got right here and get the component of that scriptable object holder, and then you do that. Yes, that actually works out just fine. So yes, if you want that pattern, you can use it. But for me, this asset references pattern, this is something that I've used for literally over a decade at this point, and it works really nice, really well. So yes, just so in that case, very much personal preference. But yes, your suggestion, yes, that would work out perfectly fine, exactly the same way, just like that. Okay, so did I actually? Oh, I did put. Did I make the save? I don't remember if I made the save, but I do think I made the save. Did I make the save? Did I not make the save? Did I not make the save? Okay. I'm pretty sure I did make the save. That one. Okay, so you're all saving. Why are you not? Oh, wait, are they? Am I not? What is the is empty? Totally forgot the building. Did I not save it? Okay, I forgot to add it. Okay, so that's the issue right here. I named it place transform instead of this one. So yep, always got to remember that one. So it thought that it was empty when it actually was not empty. No, yeah. Purchase a save system on sale. Should have made my own. Both of them works. I mean, I'm guessing you're talking about Easy Save, which I've never actually used myself, but it is a very well capable one. So yes, if you bought that one, that works out just fine. So yes, building your own or doing that, either one works. And here there you go. Here it does work. So we've got the building type of so index, and here we've got, so I store basically one house, two offices, and one power plant, and I can see, okay, one of them does have a 0, one has index 1, another 1, another 2, and if that makes sense, that is the house, that is the office, and that is that one. So yep, that is awesome. That does work out quite nicely. It's a data manager that has references to scriptable objects. They get saved and loaded to JSON using interface. Sure, yeah. What you can do is have an item ID string inside scriptable object. So in the Bootstrap, yes, you can also do, I mean, I try to avoid string lookups as much as possible. So I'm not a huge fan of that method, but yes, if you generate those strings using some like a GUID, that sort of thing, yes, that approach also works out. Again, that is one thing that is awesome in programming, game development, literally any kind of problem solving, is how every single problem that you find usually does not have literally just one possible solution. You've got a billion different solutions and all of them can be perfectly valid. So yep, all these people talking about alternative approaches, yep, absolutely. Those are also perfectly they also work out very well. So yes, in so many ways, you've got many different solutions, and depending on what exactly you're trying to do, one solution might be slightly better, or in many cases, all solutions are perfectly fine. So it's very much a case of personal preference. So yes, storing a GUID string, yep, that would work out perfectly fine. Me, I prefer this method, but yep, that would work out just fine as well. All right, so yep, so this works. We are saving the scriptable objects, but now of course we need to actually load them. And for loading, so, okay, now I'm actually thinking, how am I going to showcase how to test this? Do I first do the save system? I'm trying to question, how do I do the order on this sort of thing? I'm trying to think in terms of how do I make this followable? Do I do the save system first or not? I guess I won't save all the buildings and then load all the buildings. Okay, so let's do that one. So anyway, so over here, let me actually add a little bit of check over here, because I do basically want to save all the buildings. So let me actually, okay, let me get back a little bit. So I'm going to want to save all the buildings. So I think it's finally time for us to make a proper save class, since now we have the place building area, saving is working here, and we've got the resource manager, saving and loading is working. Now let's actually combine all of these into a proper save system. So let's go over here and create a brand new nice C# script for the save system. Ah crap, I had a little comma at the end. That's wrong. I cannot do that, so let's get rid of that one. Anyways, so I've got a nice little save system, and this one does not actually need to be anything mono behavior. Nope, I can just make it a simple static class, public static void save. I've got a save function, public static void load. I've got a simple load function, and then of course I'm also going to have a nice little class, a save object. This is going to be my main save object. So on save, I'm basically going to save all that data, so I'm going to cycle through all of those, except I probably should be on the city builder. So again, now I was talking a while ago how you have multiple ways of solving the same problem, and here that's basically it. So over here, I can save all the data over here. So I can do, for example, a place building area dot save object array, place building area save object array. I can basically put it right here, but usually you want to encapsulate save object data. So you want to have, for example, all the buildings encapsulated inside a main save object, and that the high-level save system, that one just knows the individual things and does not care about how each individual thing is implemented. So even though this right here would work, I actually prefer to save this kind of data on something like the city builder, and then the city builder itself, this one will have some kind of save file. So this one has some kind of save object, this one also has some kind of save function, this one also has some kind of load function, kind of like this, and over here, save object, we construct a brand new one, save object, and over here for this one, we do need to construct it. Now, thankfully, the way that I set this up is over here in the scene, I've got the city builder, And then I've got the place building area container, and then this one contains all of my building areas, all like these. So I can basically just cycle through all children of this in order to find this. And which just means I just need a reference from that one into that one. Problem with asset refs is if you have 10,000 assets versus automating self-assignment. Are talking about my asset references? Yes, one issue with this method is that anything that you put here is going to be automatically loaded into memory. So you can't really use this to store like a billion different textures, a billion different meshes, because all of those are going to be loaded into memory, whether they're being used in the current thing or not. So yes, that is one thing to keep in mind when it comes to this pattern. But usually I don't find that to be an issue, because usually I don't really have references to that many meshes or textures. So yes, but yeah, very well thought, because yeah, that is definitely something that could be an issue over here. Okay, anyways, so we've got the city builder, and over here, I don't know if I do have a reference to that. I don't have. For a transform, what did I call it? The place building area container. So I've got this one, and over here, I can go through for each transform child, or actually no, let's do a for, that is easier. For int I under this one dot child count, I plus, and then go for the place building area, or actually transform place building area transform equals inside this one, get child on this index, and then place building area, get component of type place building area, which I'm pretty sure I can assume that they all have because they all do have. So I guess if they don't have, then I do want to know the error. So I'm not going to add any kind of safety checks. I'm going to assume this code is going to work out just fine. So I've got that one, and then on this one, I can call save, and then on the save, let's just return that save object. So over here, return the save object. So I'm going to save this one. I construct that one. Instead of JSON, let's just return this save object like this. And actually, I'm not going to care if it's empty. I'm going to return all of them. Okay, so I returned that one. And as soon as I return that one, I've got the save object. So let's do a list of place building area dot save object. Place building area save object list, construct a brand new list, and then on this list I'm going to add this save object on there. So I add this, and then for this array just go into this one dot to array. There you go. So basically I've got the container. I'm going to cycle through every single child in that container. For every single child I'm going to get the place building area component, and on each of those I'm going to call save in order to save that on that one. I'm going to add it onto a list, and then I'm going to convert that list onto an array, which I then save on this save object. Which means I can now go onto this save system, and when I press on save, I can go on the city builder. I think this one does have an instance already, so this one already has the simple singleton pattern. And on this one right here, I can call save, and this one should return that one. So over here, let's refactor this, return a save object, and just return this save object like this. So over here, I've got that one. And over here, like I was talking about, we can finally encapsulate that data. City builder.save object, city builder save object, and we're going to put this one like this. So save object equals a brand new save object, and this one equals this dot save. And since we have this main save object, now we can save all the data that we want. So like the resource manager dot save object, resource manager save object, and I can put this one equals resource manager. That one also already has the singleton. Call save. I just need to refactor this to make sure that it returns that one, the save object. And over here, instead of all this save data, let's just return this save object like this. And the rest, yeah, let's leave that. We're going to work that a little bit later. All right, awesome. So we have this, and then for testing, let's finally do it. So let's do debug.log of this JSON utility.toJSON of this save object. Okay, we already wrote quite a little bit of code. So now let's actually try to figure out if this works, which means we need to call this from somewhere. So let's first remove the previous debug code. So this one already removed, it's over here. So let's get rid of this one, this testing key. I don't want that. Instead, let's save all of this. And let's create a simple debug UI. So over here on the canvas, let me open up my scene view, and on the canvas itself, let's make a, let's say a testing UI, that sort of thing. Let's try to find it, put it in 2D. And let's put it width and height both at 0, and let's anchor it over there. Inside, let's create a new UI button. For the, well, I'm going to have, I guess, a save and load, or just a quit button. So I guess save and load button, I guess that's basically it. And inside for text, save and load. Or I guess no, it's not save and load, it's save and quit. Different. Save and quit, and this is the save and quit button. And over here, okay, let's just make it a little bit bigger. And for the buttons, I usually like to put them in black with nice little white, nice little bold, kind of like that, save and quit. Okay, that's fun. So now let's make this code for the testing UI. So let's name it the exact same thing and open it. And over here on this one, super simple, private, or actually make it first a serialized field because I'm going to want to drag it, of the button that exists inside Unity Engine.ui, save and quit button. Got this one, then on private void awake. Let's go this one, that get component, type button, and let's go on click, add a listener to it, and on listener, I'm basically just going to go save system.save like this. All right, awesome. So this should be working quite nicely. You can watch every CodeMonkey video until I'm professional game dev. Oh, that's awesome. That is cool. I hope it helps you out quite a lot. Nice. Okay, so drag the testing, drag the button, and now I should have that nice little testing button that I should be able to click, and should call that function, which should print something on the console. Or maybe not. Let's actually try out and see. So I go save and quit, and of course I forgot to assign something. Of course, always forgot to assign something. That always happens. So let's drag that reference. Let's try again and try to see if that does work. Save and quit. And okay, no reference. What did I forget this time? I forgot to add the... Wait, did I accidentally add something? So did my lack of safety checks actually mess me up? Maybe? Or maybe not? Did I forget to... Okay, is this one no? Okay, that's odd, because I'm pretty sure all of them should work. Let's do debug all out on transform. Make sure that transform does work out. And try to see. Try Unity 7 Alpha. It's crazy how you can enter fast play mode. Yes, that is definitely super impressive. Definitely quite crazy, quite nice. Place building area transform. Why is that one no? Okay. Why is that one? Okay, that is strange. Why the... Oh, because I put the container. Ah, boy. Oh, that's what happens. That's why you have to make sure you write the perfect thing. Because I was using the container. And of course, the container doesn't have that. It's a child object. So there you go. Just a simple bug, simple fix. So let's sort it out. You prefer to save directly to Steam Cloud or let Steam manage the cloud save? Well, you have to manage. Steam doesn't manage it manually, so I'm not sure what you mean. You, as developer, you have to implement cloud saves. And yes, I do believe you should use both. You should save locally and save onto Steam Cloud. Do both those. So yes, you should be using that one and do that. All right, it worked, even though it didn't actually work. So over here, we've got an empty JSON. But it did work. Our code did run. It technically did do everything that we wanted it to do, but it did not actually save any data. Or actually, it did, but it didn't. And the answer is actually very simple, which is how over here we're using save objects. And like I said, this pattern is really awesome, but it does require one specific thing, which is how if we're trying to convert one of these classes into a JSON, it does serialize it perfectly, it does work out, no issues, no problems whatsoever. However, if we have something like this, where we've got a class, some kind of save object, and inside we've got other classes, the only way that these are going to be serializable is if we intentionally mark them as serializable. Since over here we didn't, that means this save object itself does not know how to serialize these types, which is why these basically end up as empty. So we need to go inside these and make sure to always mark all of these as serializable. So that is this one, and the place building area, this one also needs to be serializable, and the resource manager, this one also needs to be serializable, and the top one, this one doesn't need to, but yep, no harm doing that, make them all serializable, and now it will actually did work. Off new live stream. Oh boy, that went to the wrong hole. Oh boy. Oh, that messed me up. Oh, that was bad. So how often you live stream? I don't have a schedule, although my personal goal for this month, for the month of August, is to do more public live streams. So yes, I don't know, maybe trying to do like 2 per week, something like that. Maybe like Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't know about any schedule, but yes, my personal goal for this month is to do quite a bit more. So anyways, if I press on save, and there you go, awesome, we've got a whole bunch of nice save data. So here we can see, yep, there's all of our data. Now we can see it contains a massive amount of data. So this is where some people, upon seeing this, they might think two things. So number one, we're saving a lot of useless data, and number two, since we're using strings, doesn't that mean the save files are going to be massive? And those are technically valid. We are indeed saving a bunch of useless data. We could be more clever and basically just not save these things. The -1 is just because these are all empty positions, but we're still quote-unquote saving them. That is useless. We don't need to save those. So if we wanted, we could be clever to not save that. And the same thing for about the size. These are strings, because that it occupies quite a lot of space, because basically each string, each character is going to occupy 1 byte, whereas 1 byte you can actually store quite a lot of data inside of it. So if you were to make this binary, it would be quite a bit more efficient in terms of space. But the answer to both of those, so the first one about being useless, is that it doesn't really matter, because it's also connected to the second answer, and the second answer is that space, thankfully nowadays, is no longer a premium, especially when it comes to save files kind of like this. So even though I'm saving a lot of genuinely useless data, even though I'm doing that, at most this save file is going to be something like 1 kilobyte, 2 kilobytes. Even if you have a massive game and you use this kind of setting, this kind of logic, at most your save files are going to be like 1 megabyte, which if you were making games 20 years ago, or I guess more like 30 years ago, back in the 90s, back then 1 megabyte for a save file was actually pretty heavy, but nowadays 1 megabyte is literally nothing. I mean, I literally just the other day installed a new hard drive that has like 8 terabytes, so yes, 1 megabyte is basically 0. So yes, even though technically you could make this more efficient to make it not save useless data, it's not worth the effort. And even though you could make this more efficient by saving binary data as opposed to string data, again, it is not worth the effort. So that is why I say this pattern that I'm using over here, making these save objects, constructing a clever composition of save objects, and then converting them into JSON and then saving that. This is technically not the most efficient thing, but again, those inefficiencies are really not a problem with today's hardware. So yep, this works out perfectly fine. So if you do want a personal challenge, by all means, try to build your own custom binary formatter, binary data in order to save that. And if you want, by all means, try to be a little bit more clever and only save data that you actually need if you want to really minimize the space. But again, I would say, as a game developer, you gotta keep in mind how you need to be insanely efficient. The faster you can build your games, the easier it is for those games to essentially be successful in financial terms, because you're going to spend less time, less cost on them. So, in the sake of efficiency, I would say don't worry about those things that might seem like issues once you see them. Like once you look at this, it seems like a lot of useless data, but in reality, it is really not the issue. It is really not an issue. So even though technically it is inefficient, it is also perfectly fine. So yeah, basically all that to say, yep, this is all perfect. Even though it contains a lot of useless data, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. Which means now that we have this save system where we have the main save object, it contains all of our save objects. Now we can actually continue, and before we do the load, let's actually save onto an actual file, which we wrote our testing code on the resource manager. So yep, now we can basically just copy paste all of this data, put it on the save system, put it right here, and then for the load, also all this data, let's copy this and put it all the way over there. So over here, for the load, this one's going to receive a save object, and then it's going to basically load that, and then I'm going to do that on the other one. So, okay, so here for the directory, we need to use file.io, and for the constant, that one is not going to be over here on the resource manager, but rather on the save system itself. And there you go. Yep, so I got the JSON, I convert that JSON. I can also do a debug just to make sure that it says. Then I write all of it, I save data, and then I load the data and I resave it. And over here, let's go on the resource manager, the instance, and call load. Even though I made this private, so let's make it public so I can actually load and pass in the save object. Ah, crap, not the save, because I'm way behind the characters. So save object dot resource manager save object and load that one. All right, so now we should be able to press on save and see this save file being built. And again, we should be able to see how it is pretty massive, but it doesn't matter. And the load, that one should also work. So for the load, let's also, on the testing UI, let's do a load button. So over here, let's do a load button. And for the load button, go down and call load. So over here, let's make that load button. Oh, except my character. Oh, did you make custom character? Oh. Nobody has made a custom character in quite a while, so let me actually remember how that one is handled, I gotta go on my website, because again, literally it has been like months since anyone has made a custom character, so I don't even remember how that system works. Let me try to see. Okay, validate player textures. Alright, now it's this system that takes a lot of time. There's actually quite a bunch of people that did custom characters, but I guess nobody's here right now. Let me try to find out. Well, I'm guessing it would be at the bottom, right? Okay, there's a person right there, the valid character, another person. Wow, because I actually haven't seen this, so I don't know. Who said that? You said that. So I don't know which one is you, because I'm not seeing any characters that are valid. Yeah, there's only at the bottom, custom livestream character. I should have probably made that one quite a bit smaller, because I always forget what is that one like. cmonk.co/custom livestream character. Is that the link? Let's see. Yes, it is. I really should have made that link smaller. But yeah, you can basically log in and you get this little texture and you can basically draw anything on it. Like for example, draw this, and then you can have the character. But then of course it is manual validation, just because there are some people that have drawn some pretty nefarious things. So I can't really show it automatically. So yes, if you do a custom character, then tell me. But I can't see your character. The issue is that it also doesn't quite show the name of the person, or rather the name on the website might be different, but I don't see any Judy on the, I don't see any. Oh wait, maybe it's this one? Okay, maybe it is this one. Is your name just Judd on the website? If so, I have validated it. Let me just go back into that one. Update character customization. Oh, there you go. It did change. Oh, awesome. Hey, nice job on making the custom character. That is cool. Nice little hat. The little black gloves. That is awesome. That is cool. All right. Okay. So that was fun. That was nice. So if any of you want to do, just let me know if you customize your character. But yeah, that is fun. That is nice. Okay, where was I? All right, saving and loading a bunch of stuff. So now if I go here, and if I place my house, then of course I've got a null ref. What do I have? Oh, right, because I forgot to make the button. So let's go ahead and make that button. What time is it? Oh, it's almost 8 p.m. Huh. Who would have thought? So I've got a load button. And for this load button, let's go inside and say load. And then let's drag the unload button right there. And okay, let's see how this one actually works. Place a bunch of houses, place a bunch of these. Now the saving, the loading part isn't yet working, but if I click on save, and there I go, this one saved a massive amount of data. And if I go and I quit, and I check out the saves and check out that one, and there I go, massive amount of data. And if that is correct, that is my power mount, money mount, that is correct, and the building type. And there I go, there's a 2 over there, another 2 over there, another 2. So yep, it is saving that data. Okay, so now let's actually do the thing that we still have not done, which is on objective 2, the loading of the building placement. So let's actually load. We already did all of this work in order to be able to save the building type SO index. Now we basically just need to reverse this. So on the load function, let's receive a save object. So let's actually refactor the code to make sure that it receives that one. So on the save system, here we've got load, we load that one. Then let's go on the city builder instance, call load, and pass in save object dot the city builder save object, which this one needs to receive. So let's go on to this one. This one receives a save object. And this one, for the save object that it receives, it is basically going to cycle through all of these as well. And for the same index, it is going to get that one. And then for that one, you are going to pass in load. And you're going to load the save object, the place building object array, on this same index. So that loads. And this guy finally receives the save object. And now this one over here, this one knows what is the building type SO index. And thankfully, based on that, we can grab the building type SO. So building type SO, and this one right here, we can now use the exact same thing that we did previously. We can go inside the building type list, and over here we can use the save object, use the index. So we grab the index, which means we grab this SO, and then we've got the add building, which takes in that one, and that one should basically spawn it. So let's try it out and see how it works. Let us see. Let's get married. Code Monkey Jr. Oh, no, I have no plans to get married or have kids. So no, definitely way too busy. Yeah, definitely. Maybe one day, but definitely not today. No. Okay, so place down some houses, place down some office buildings, place down that one, and press on save, and that one saves a bunch of data. And now for loading, okay, it doesn't destroy things, so I need to do a save load. So let's put that one, and I press on load, and of course I've got a nice little error, index out of range. Oh right, of course, because I need to add validation. So basically, if this guy right here, if this guy equals -1, that's invalid. That means there's no save data, so let's just return. If not, let's actually do that. All right, let us see. So as I do this, let's press on load. There you go! Woo! It worked! Awesome! So that is cool. So we have now finally saved the building placement we actually do have. So if I go and I place those, and if I place just the small building just to verify, so I'm going to place one house, one office, one power plant, save and quit. And over here, if I refresh this data, I can see, okay, that one, yeah, there you go. I've got a 0, I've got a 2, and there's a 1 somewhere. And I quit, and I come back, and now as I load, I should be able to see house, building, power plant. Click, there you go, awesome. Okay, that is cool, that is super cool. Everything works out quite nicely, so I can now save and load. It is saving and loading both the resource amounts as well as the building placement. Even though actually there's a slight bug here. So basically, if I go and I place a house, a office, and that one, if I do that, I've got 3 population, whereas if I unload this, that is actually not going to be correct. If I unload this, there you go, that one actually has 6 population. That is due to the house. The house is the house script, and on this house script right here, this one on start basically does that, and this one is going to run regardless if it was placed manually by the player or actually placed by the actual loading system. So that means we end up with double the population. That is not correct. But thankfully, over here in this case, this actually has a very simple solution. This is one of those problems that is very important to figure out because this is something that is always going to get. So this pattern that I'm covering here, doing the save object, saving and loading and so on, this pattern that you can use all the time, but you always have to think about what kind of data do you need to save. Essentially, data that is persistent, you should save, but data that is just generating that runtime, you don't need to save. As the example of this one right here, the population. So this start, this one is going to run whether we put it before loading or after loading. This is going to run all the time, which means that the population is actually calculated at runtime. It is not something that we actually need to save, because even if we save nothing, once we load, we're going to spawn some houses, and it's going to add this, and so on. So yep, whenever you deal with save systems, always keep that in mind, because that's a very common problem. It's basically ending up with double the data. So because of that, you gotta keep in mind what kind of data are you saving, which in this case, the solution is very simple. Since the population, since this one is basically calculated always at runtime, as long as we spawn the houses, which we are doing, we are spawning houses. So as long as we are doing that, then over here, technically, we don't need to store the population. So we really just remove this, and now everything should be working fine, and that bug should be fixed. Yeah. The save object concept is formally called the data transfer object. Oh, is that the case? Is that the official name for it? Oh, because I actually didn't know if there was an official name for it, so okay. Anyways, if I press unload, and there you go, I've got just 3 population because, yep, again, it is being calculated at runtime. So that is awesome, nice. That is awesome. So yep, we've solved another objective. So we've got the resource amounts, yep, those are being saved and loaded. And we've got the building placement. I can place buildings wherever I want, I can do whatever I want, place everything all over the place, lots of office buildings, lots of power plants, everything all over the place. Press on save and quit, go back, come back in, and now it's all going to be empty. And now I press on load, and there you go, all of them exactly the same type, exactly on the exact same place. All right, awesome. That is cool. That's exactly what I intended to do. Finish your custom stream character. Yes, you should. Yeah, it's always fun to see. I would love to see a bunch more custom characters over here. That would be quite fun. The save data gets saved as simple JSON. Can a player actually change its content before loading? Yes, yes, you can. So for example, here I've got the save file. Let me actually open this. So I've got save file right here, and yep, it is JSON, it is editable. So let's say I want to cheat on my save file. So here I've got the money, I've got 300 bucks. Let's put an extra 0 on there. And now if I go over here, and if I load it, I'm actually going to have an extra 0 on my save data. And like I was saying a while ago, there you go. I got way more money than I should be. But like I was saying, you should not worry about the player cheating on their own single player games. So yes, if something is single player, don't worry about it. There's no point. If the player wants to cheat and give themselves more money, more power, more whatever, it's their game. They're playing in single player. If they want to cheat, fine, let them. And conversely, you only need to worry about that in multiplayer. In multiplayer, the answer is always never trust the client. So yep, this is never ever a problem. So yep, that's it. The Unity scriptable objects are DTOs between scenes, but not necessarily between runs. Okay, okay. Still working on your next indie game? Not really. I wish I had time to secretly work on something, but not really. Still save file. Are there plans to have multiple save files? Well, that's a very good question, because that is actually the next objective, the bonus objective, multiple save slots, which is literally that. Yeah, let's save on different things, which thankfully we can do quite easily, because over here on the save system, we already have everything. We're already saving, we're already loading. So yep, now we really just need to give it a different name, and all of a sudden we can save different things. So let's define a string for the save name. And me personally, the thing that I always like to use is really just use the the date, because that is always going to be unique, so you don't have to worry about things like overriding save files and so on. Obviously, you can give the player an option to write the save file. You can use, for example, like my CodeMonkey, my input window. The input window, this one right here, the input window. So yes, if you want to give the player, ask the player for some data, you can use this input data window, ask them, okay, give me what is the save name, and then you save that save name. Or, like I said, the easiest way to avoid any kind of conflict is to just use the current date. So for that, we can use date time, we can grab now, and over here, we can do the toString, and now I just gotta remember the format, because over here we've got a string format, and I think Visual Studio actually does give hints. No? Okay, maybe no. So this is one part that always requires some looking up. So date time format string, and I always gotta remember what is the format. There you go. I've got it right here. So you can basically use these formats right there. So for the year, that's what I want. The year as a 5-digit number. Okay. Then I want the month, but I want the month as numbers. There you go. I want double uppercase M from 0 to 1 to that one. Not the 1. No, I do want the 0. So over here, I'll let you M. And then I want the day, and the day, again, same thing. Where's the day? Over here. Try to find, there you go. There's the day, and the day I do want with the leading 0, so that's double these. Then dash, then I want the hour. What is the hour like? Let's go for the hour. I want a 24-hour clock with the leading 0, so that's capital H. Then the minutes, and for the minutes, let's find out where are the minutes. There you go, the minutes with double A, so that's lowercase m's, mm. And finally the seconds, and it's lowercase s's. And there you go. There's my nice little save file, .json, just to add a nice little extension, and that's about right. So this one right here, and this one's going to save that data with different unique file names anytime that I save. So no need to worry about overwriting things and so on, but yep, just basically kind of like that. So over here, I'm going to save something, doesn't really matter, press on save and quit. And like I said, Unity, if it is currently running, it is not going to refresh, but you can manually refresh. So Control R, there you go, refresh, and that one. And yep, that is the current time. It is currently 7 p.m. something, almost 8 p.m. That is correct. And if I save another one again and I press on refresh again, there you go. I got another one on that one like that. So yeah, awesome. Just like this, we already have multiple save files. That is cool. All right. So now it's probably about time that we handle the main menu. So let's actually do that. What's your favorite design pattern? Probably the singleton pattern, which I know quite a lot of people dislike that. Quite a lot of people hate the singleton pattern, especially people outside of game dev, because in normal software development, singletons do tend to cause more issues than they do help. So yes, a lot of people, not in game dev, they do tend to hate singletons, but me personally, I love it. And when it comes to game dev, I find it so insanely useful. Like here, I've got singletons on almost every single one of these, like the city builder, This one is a singleton. The resource manager, this one is a singleton. So anything that exists just once, it makes sense to be a singleton. So yes, the singleton is probably my favorite, most useful pattern, which again is really funny because outside of game dev, people hate it with a fiery hate. So yeah, but for me, I quite love it, yeah. What do you use in light mode? Because dark mode burns my eyes. So yes, if I maximize chat, if I read this for a little bit more than like 10 seconds, I'm going to get a headache. I can't handle this. I can't handle white letters on dark background. This messes me up, so no. So yes, the answer is because dark mode burns my eyes, so I need like this. I need nice, bright background. I need to have some nice lights, a well-lit room. Otherwise, yeah, I just get massive headaches. So, yep, that's basically about it, yeah. This doesn't fit in this video, but what about implementing versioning to the save file? Let's say your save file changes because new features, how to keep older version work. Yeah, that is definitely a very important topic. And yes, the answer is that you have to be very clear about how exactly do you modify things. Now, ideally you want to avoid having to essentially convert old save files. So you want to either add things or deprecate things, which in case if you deprecate something, that means older save files won't have data. That is basically useless, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to touch it. So it doesn't matter that it saves. You have 10 gold and nowadays you no longer have gold. So it doesn't matter that that save file has it because you're just going to ignore it. So removing things or adding things, that is easy. You can basically just, so over here, if I no longer want to save the resource manager, just get rid of it. And now if I do have a save file that does have resource manager data, if so, it doesn't matter. This code is going to run just perfectly fine because I'm just going to ignore that data. So removing things or adding things, if I add something new, then I basically just need to create some kind of default. So over here, when I do some kind of load, I could add some kind of validation. I check, is this one currently null? If this one is null, let's create an empty save object and basically go like that. So removing or adding things, thankfully, that is quite easy to do in terms of versioning. The hard part becomes when you when you have something and you want to continue having that same thing, but it works in a different way, that can become very complex. So when it comes to that, my advice is to try to avoid it as much as possible. But if you really need that, then yeah, it's basically over here on the load function. Then over here, you add some kind of validation and you see, obviously you need to bake in on the main save object. Over here, you need to add some kind of string for some kind of save version. And then on load, you check the current version of the game. So this was saved with version 1.2, but I'm currently on 1.6. So I'm going to see, okay, what were the changes that I need to do from 1.2 to 1.3 to 1.4, 5, 6, and so on. And basically with that one, eventually you do end up with a valid save file. But I would add that validation over here. I would check the save object.save version, and I check, okay, this one is 1.2. So here are the transitions if I'm on 1.2 to convert to 1.3. And then afterwards the code, if I'm on 1.3, how do I convert to 1.4? Then if I'm on 1.4, go on 1.5, and so on and on. So basically like that. So like I said, you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So remove things or add things, and that is fine. But if you really need that, then yes, that is basically how you do it. Just unload, add all of that complex validation to make sure that everything still works out nice. Yeah. Access the practice lab 1 month after getting the summer bundle. You've got the once you buy the summer bundle on the thank you page, you get a link to you get a custom link which allows you to join the practice lab. If you somehow miss that, just send me an email and I will check the logs and basically send you the link again. That is basically it. I missed something. Yes, yeah, great video by Mauricio. Yeah, video compilation of all programming patterns. I definitely do recommend that. I saw that video a very long time. I think you made that like 2 years ago, something like that. And and yeah, there you go. Every programming pattern explained. So yeah, if you want to do, yeah, this one's like, 1 year ago. I thought it was longer. Yeah. Well, I guess this is a compilation, so I'm pretty sure the other ones were over a year ago. But yes, it's been a long time since I saw this video, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you want to know all kinds of patterns that exist, and a lot of these are definitely things that I had no idea about, because I basically just use a handful of patterns. That's basically it. So yeah, if you want to know about a massive amount of patterns that exist, here we've got 1 hour and a half video. And yes, this will definitely help you understand how all of those that exist. Yeah. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you. Huh. Oh boy, I'm definitely missing quite a lot of that. Like your Kakashi shirt. Yeah, thank you. It is awesome. Yeah, even though you can't quite see the whole thing. The whole thing is super cool. Very awesome. Definitely one of my favorite t-shirts. Super awesome. I don't remember where I bought it, but it's really nice. And the fabric is actually good as well. Sometimes these prints that are like, these t-shirts that are like, that have like a nice image on top. Usually they are very low quality, but this one, no. The fabric, I have no idea what this is, but it feels actually quite good, quite nice. So yeah. Do you have a Discord channel? I do. For course students or channel members or so on, I tried having a public one and just became a nightmare to moderate. So yes, I have a more close off one with just a handful of members, and thankfully that one is a pretty nice community. So yes, if you've ever bought any of my courses or channel member, Patreon, whatever, then yes, you have access to the private Discord. Okay, let's continue. Did I forget to name the... Oh, what? Oh crap, I messed up on that one. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So for the thing, I added... Yeah, there you go. I added .json over there, but it doesn't actually write .json because the S represents seconds. So that is why over here, this one, the file name for this one is .j1on, and this one .j47on. Oh, that's funny. Yes, this is not intended. No, it's outside the toString. So like this, and yeah, like this, it does work. Okay, that was funny. That was nice. All right. So what am I missing? Oh, right, the main menu with the multiple save slots, and let's do that. And over here, thankfully, I already made the main menu as part of the starting scene. So over here, I can do... Oh, let's actually first do the continue, which basically means load the last save file. So let's handle this one first, and then we handle basically the load logic. So here on the main menu, I've got the continue button. Over here, I'm already calling continue. So it's over here. Let's go on the save system and call some kind of continue function. So let's build that one. Let's go up here, public static void continue. And now what continue literally means is just load the last save file, which means we need to check out, okay, which one is the current last save file. So that means, and now here's the part where I need to remember how this works. I think it's on directory, get files. Is this the one? I never know which one it is. I think it is this one for the save folder. And yeah, I do think this one returns what? Okay, returns, because there are two of them. There's one that returns strings and returns file info. I never know which one it is. File.get files? No. I think it's maybe directory info. No. Get the current directory, or maybe it's a new directory, or it's a directory info. Is that it? Okay, I think maybe that's it. I do know that there's a better method for this, because I don't like that one of dealing with that, even though that does work. Get file. Okay, so it is like this. Yeah, that's what I want. I want a file info. So anyways, I've got the save folder. I get the files, and over here, this is the search pattern. So that, well, actually, I wrote .json, but actually didn't quite mention this part, which is how you can name the extension whatever you want. It literally does not have to be .json just because there's JSON inside of it. No, it doesn't have to be. You can name it literally. Extensions, in case you don't know, they don't really matter. They don't really mean anything. There's nothing special to it. If I want, I can name this PNG, and that works. That is perfectly fine. Now, it's going to be messed up because if you double click on a PNG file, it is going to try to open with an image viewer, and this does not contain PNG data, so it's not going to show any kind of image. It's going to show an error. So you shouldn't use something that exists, but you can use like save file, that is perfectly valid, or my game save, that is also perfectly valid. So basically, extensions, they are not special hard-coded God strings. Nope, you can literally name them whatever you want. So yes, yeah, the file extension is basically just a hint to what data is saved inside of it. So yes, over here you can name whatever you want. So in my case, normally I use something like .save, something like that, just to make sure that it is that. Although if you want JSON, that also works out perfectly fine. So anyways, basically you can use whatever you want, which means over here you can use whatever you want, which means if we are copy pasting the same thing multiple times, so you probably already know what that means. Let's probably define a const for the save file extension. This is a string, and just put it .sav, kind of like this. And then over here, asterisk dot my extension, and over here, well, we're going to modify that load function, but yes, and yes, like this. Okay, so we have that. And then over here, we've got this function, get files. This one returns an array of file info. So let's do for each file info in this one right here that I'm going to search through it. So I got the file info, and basically I'm going to try to figure out what is the latest file info. So file info for the latest file info, and start off as null. Then if, oh boy, what is this? If file info equals null, if it is null, this is the first one. So, or not file info, the latest. If the latest equals null, then the latest equals this file info. And if so, if not, rather. So if I already have a current file info, I can go and check if this file info dot, what is the write time? Yeah, the last write time. If this one is after the latest file info dot write time, then this one is newer. So let's put the latest equals this file info like this. So then at the end, we do have the latest file info, or I guess we should have some kind of null check. So if this one does not equal null, if so, then let's call load, and on load, let's pass in the file info. And then over here on load, let's receive that one. So the file info, we have this one right here. And then basically for loading, so this is the question that I always forget. So the file info, this one has like the path, is not path, the full, okay, I think it's the full name that contains everything. Let me do unlog on this one just to remember what does this one contain, and then do a return. Okay, so this continue should work. It should be finding the latest one, so let's try that out. Okay, so I got something, I think it's my load function, which this one, the load button is no longer going to exist, so let's get rid of that one and go and do this. Show one of your production ready projects hierarchy. I mean, honestly, you can look at like these projects that I made for the practice lab and you can see those, or you can see my game. So basically like this, yeah, I've got directional lights, a volume, then yeah, canvas, event system, then any kind of objects based on those. So yeah, usually it doesn't really have too much. So I don't know, maybe I can load up Dinky Gardens, which I haven't opened up in ages. No, not diorama. Where is Dinky Gardens? Okay, I don't know. I don't have it here. But yes, I mean, I guess you can look at my my turn-based strategy course or my kitchen chaos course on YouTube and can basically see exactly how I organize those projects, because it is basically like that. Yeah. Okay, so what was I doing? All right, it's on the main menu, and over here I've got the continue, and let's go inside the main menu, inside the continue button, and let's construct. Or actually, no, yeah, it is this button that I want to use. Okay, so let's do that and just see on the console if that one is doing that. So continue, and of course it does nothing. What did I forget to do? I am not sure. Let's go back into the main menu, and this one, calling continue. Is that one coming up along as null? Okay. Why is that one being null? Did I mess up? No, directory info, save folder, look for the save file extent. Oh, never mind, it's because I renamed it, but I didn't actually rename it. So let me actually show up this one. Okay, let me rename this one. What did I call it? .sav, is that it? Yeah, it's .sav. So let's name all of these .sav. Okay, change the extension on those. And over here, refresh, and yeah, they are now .sav, so now it should actually work. Okay. And there you go, it does work. Why did it run twice? Oh, because I printed twice. And over there I can see, okay, so the latest one is the one saved at 757. And now if I manually open up this one right here, the one supposedly at 756, and let me open up on regular notepad, and I'm just going to like just modify one thing, put one money, save, just make the save. So now I'm going to press on continue because I saved this one should be the latest. So now it should load the one at 756. So if I click on continue, let's see if that works. And yep, there you go, 756. All right, awesome. That works out, nice. Is there a built-in OS function that returns the latest modified file? Is there? I don't think so. Is that one? Latest? No. I mean, there probably is. There probably is something like in the Windows API, something like that, but at least not that I know of. But I don't know. Honestly, I've never quite looked too much just because it's a very basic, simple loop, so I never quite bothered to search for it. So yeah, maybe that does work out or not, yeah. Isn't it better to avoid else and if statements? That's what my old workplace used to say. Why is that? I mean, I would avoid else if you got a ton of instructions inside the if, just because it's hard to see the if and remember that you have an else afterwards. But if it is literally like this, you've got an if and you've got an else right afterwards, it is perfectly readable. So I don't know why you would intentionally avoid them. I guess you could just make this if and do a continue, and then over here don't have the else. Technically this would work. This would be valid code, would work literally the same way, but this feels needlessly confusing. I think a simple else just makes it quite readable. So yeah, for the most part, like that. We're gonna sprint list still enemy AI system. And so frustrating. I mean, that is a very complex AI system, so it makes sense that it is frustrating. So yeah. But yeah, that is a fun system. So yeah. That's fun. Well, of course, you'll improve debugging. That's a good question. Will it? Are you mentioning something specific? Like, does it have some kind of thing with the debugger? Because I normally don't use debugger, so I don't know what Core CLR would do with that. I mean, I think it might actually make debugging more difficult, just because with Core CLR comes fast interplay mode, and people aren't used to that. So people aren't used to the fact that static fields do not get reset. So that will require a learning curve. So I think for a few people, it will actually increase time spent debugging just because they will have quite a lot of static bugs that they will have to learn. Okay, statics don't reset by default. So yeah, I figure quite a lot of people are going to have to adapt to that one. Which, speaking of that one, let's actually use some static data right now, which we're going to use to basically transfer data between scenes. That is the easiest way of transferring data between scenes, is just make something static. The reason why statics don't get reset and how to deal with that. I mean, the reason is because there's no domain reload, which means the code in memory stays in memory. So static data that is currently in memory, it just stays there because the code is not being reloaded every single time. So that's the reason why. By using Core CLR by default, statics are not being reset. So yeah, you basically need to manually either keep that in mind and never assume that static data is being reset. You should always assume it is not being reset, it is transferring between different runs. So you assume that, and if you are doing something like this, like here I've got a static field, and it doesn't really matter if this one is not, actually this one is reset, because every time that I play it is going to assign this one, so this one is not an issue. But if you use it kind of like this, if you use static data just says like read-only containers, it works fine. If you always make sure to assign it or to write to it before you read to it, then it's also perfectly fine. So it's only an issue when you assume some kind of data is on there, when on your second build, it might not actually be on there. So it's basically just keeping in mind with that. That is basically how you deal with it. Now, if you want, there are more complex ways of dealing with that. And actually, GetAmend did a great video, GetAmend Fast Interplay Mode. He did a really great video, and I can't find it. What did he call it? He made a really great video on exactly this. Is this? Okay, I think it is this one. Preparing for Core CLR.
Novo Vaseline Gluta-Hya Serum.
Okay, I think it is this one, Lifecycle Management API. Yeah, this one that has all of these new attributes. So if you want something quite a bit more complex, if you want to get quite a lot more control, then damn the ads. GetAmend's best channel for advanced unit tech. I agree. Awesome channel. I'm a big fan. So yeah, over here he basically mentions issues with statics, and he mentions all of these new attributes that you can use for like entering play mode, exiting play mode. So you can use those to basically clear all that data. So yes, if you want something more complex than what I just mentioned, of just knowing that you need to save data before you read data, usually I would say 90% of the cases, just knowing that is enough. But if you want a lot more complex, cleaned up logic, if so, you can look at this, these attributes, and these allow you to basically execute any kind of code that you want, which, yeah, if you want to do something more complex, that can be quite useful. Anyways, okay, so here I am continuing. Now let's handle the thing of, actually, when I press continue, I actually do want to continue. So I do want to load the game scene and actually do that. So for loading the game scene, first of all, I need to actually load it. So on the build profiles, I need to make sure to add my scene list. So I need to make sure to add the main menu, and this is going to be my main scene. And then I need to have the game scene, and this is going to be my secondary scene. And now, normally I would write a proper scene loader sort of thing, either write one or use the one that I have. Code Monkey loading system. Is that what I called it? Loading scenes, loading scenes. What did I call it? Loading scenes. There you go. Scene manager in Unity. So yeah, if you want a proper scene manager, that is what I'm going to that is what I covered in this tutorial. Basically, it does not use ints something, it uses some proper things. Whereas over here, I've already been live for a very long time. I want to rest my voice, so I don't want to do something too complex. So here I'm basically just doing the quick and dirty way, but yeah, the proper way would be different. Anyways, continue. And now, as soon as I continue, and I'm just trying to think, where do I put this logic? Do I put it on the main menu or on the save system? I actually don't know which one would be best. I guess unload would probably be best. Yeah, I guess unload probably. Anyway, so over here on, oh right, I forgot to print out. Oh no, I did print out, and that one contains the full file name. So I think I can just use this for read all text, and that one basically loads that. Even though I'm actually, okay, I'm thinking of too many things at once. First of all, scene manager, load scene. And now here's the part, like I mentioned, I'm going to do the quick and dirty way, which is I'm just going to use the indexes right here on build profiles. So the game scene that is on index 1 and main menu on index 0. So over here I'm going to load scene on the game scene. So I'm going to load that one. And before, basically I need to transfer data between scenes. And like I said, the easiest way to do that is with static data. Static file info, load file info. So I have this, and then when I load, I'm going to send this into this file info like this, and then I'll load that scene. And now, as soon as I do, I need to have the loading system, something that runs on start. So let's actually do that. So let's do a mono behavior save system first update, because I need to know when has the scene loading finally finished. So I'm going to have a simple script that I'm going to keep track of a private bool first update, or actually I don't need this. I just need the private void late update. And on late update, let's go save system and call the first update. And over here, I just need to make this function. So private, actually no, public static void first update. And on first update, that is where I'm actually going to save that data, or load that data, sorry. So if the load, the load file info does not equal null, if I do have that, then this is where I actually want to load all this data like previously. So basically when I call load, I just load the final scene and I save the file info onto that one. And then afterwards, where are people? Ah, boy, can't you people not spam? I'm trying to focus on writing some code, and all these people are, how do I guess hide user on this channel, maybe? Why do people spam? Just let me write some code, come on. Anyways, so on load, I unload the file info, I unload a certain scene, and then on first load, it is going to, on the first update, it is going to call this function, and this one, just go inside that one, load that, and that should work fine. So I just need to have this one, which means I'm going to go onto the second scene. So I'm going to go onto the game scene, and over here, construct a brand new game object, give it the same name, reset, let's add that component right there, that works. And this one, I just want to run this once. So after this, let's call destroy this game object like this. Okay, so that should do it. So now if I go back in the main menu, and now over here, if I click on continue, it should load the other scene. And as soon as it loads the scene, it should load that data. So as I press, there you go. Awesome. All right, that worked. That worked. Instead of using magic numbers, can't you get a reference to the scene you want to load? No, you can't literally get a direct reference, or actually, you can through code. You can through the asset references, but usually what I do is just use an enum, and so basically what I covered in this one right here in this tutorial is this is why I have YouTube Premium. This is why I have YouTube Premium. Skip. Okay, so basically over here, the way that I do my unload system is like this. Basically, I just define an enum with my various different scenes, and basically in my code, I only use that enum. I never use strings, even though technically in the background, this one is calling a load scene and passing that one into a string. So this is one of the cases where I'm forced to use strings, even though in my code, I try to make it so that I can actually just avoid using strings directly. So I just use the enum, and then I use that one. But yep, since I don't want to write all this code right now, I basically just did the quick and dirty approach of just loading down by index, just like this. But yes, in a more proper thing, I would do this, or actually I wouldn't rewrite this code. I have my code monkey toolkit asset that contains all my tools. And yeah, one of those is the load system. So yeah, I basically just reuse that tool. Anytime that I do it, I don't have to do that. Yes. Can explicitly convert it into an int. You mean the enum? You can, but then you have issues with sorting order, which I think are worse than issues with making sure the enum is named exactly the same thing. So basically both those approaches, they have their pros and cons, and I think just using those actually is works out quite nicely. Anyways, okay, so yes, to continue this work, that is awesome. So now let's finally do objective number 3, the multiple save slots. Well, actually, we already have that one. Well, sort of. We can't select them, but we are saving them. And the load selector, let's basically do that one. So for that one's actually quite easy. It's all basically just over here. So, or actually before we do that, so let's do a continue button, but then let's also have a new game button, just to make sure that we have both of them. So new game, kind of, oh boy, new game like this. And then over here on the main menu, let's do one. So on start, we got the continue, we've got the new game button, and I've got the new game button. And on this new game button, I'm going to do a private void new game. And on new game, see, this is the part where I would definitely refactor the code because it makes no sense for the save system to be responsible for new game, I don't think. I think that should be someone else's responsibility, but for now, since I'm already pressed for time here, since I really want to risk my voice in a little bit, because that, let's just do a new game here, and new game is actually very easy. Just make this one null, and that way it's not going to load anything, and then load that one, and that works out just fine. So this one, call new game like this. So yeah, the new game button, that one should already be working because it is very, very easy. But yes, you can definitely assign an integer to an enum. Yes, you can do that. It doesn't have to be just based on sorting order. Yes, that is correct. So if you want, yes, that is another valid approach. Okay, so if I press on continue, okay, I gotta make that one a quit button. So I want a save and quit, and then just a quit button. I don't want to have a load button. So this should not be load, should be quit button. And inside you should do quit, and then for the testing UI, you should have just a quit button, and over here on the quit button, on this one, you should, well, just go scene manager, load scene, and load scene 0. No save, no nothing, just go back there, and over here do that. Oh boy, my voice is definitely at its limit, so yeah, I gotta finish this quickly. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose my voice. This live stream stay up to watch later. Yes, it will. Okay, so continue. Go there. Great. Quit. New game. There you go. Empty. And if I go back, continue. There you go. And I play some more things. Save and quit. Save and quit. Why save and quit? Did I mess up? Oh boy, I just did the save data. Well, I guess it is saving. It's just not quitting. So yeah, now I quit. Continue. There you go. It works. All right. Awesome. That is awesome. So what do I want? Okay, so on this one, basically, when I save, I do want to save and quit. So let's actually quit on that one. All right, so now let's actually do the final test that I want to do. So basically the load selector in the main menu. So over here, I want to show all of them. So let's actually do that. That is usually, it's actually something that I always get a little bit confused, but then eventually I figure it out. So let's see if this time I can be not confused. So it starts with the scroll view. And it's confusing how the scroll view works, because it has like a container, but then another container, and you got to modify the size. It's a little bit confusing, but anyways, yeah, you got scroll view, you got the viewport, and inside you've got the content. And then it's inside the content that you want to place something. So let's place some kind of game object. So load, save file, what do I call this? UI single, I guess. Boy. Save file UI single, and inside of this one, what am I going to have? So on the content, this one, I actually think I need to put the vertical layout group. I think I need to put that. So that one, for that one, let's stretch it to occupy that. Put that one on 0, and the height, put that one on 100. Wait, did it actually not stretch? Oh, because the content, is that it? Okay, so I'm not sure about the gun, so I'm not gonna bother with the not stretching parts. I'm just gonna put it like this. Then inside, let's make a nice simple image for the background. And for the background, let's put it like a dark. Then for the background, let's stretch to occupy everything. Then let's put a UI text. And this is going to be the file name, something. Oh boy, why am I always pressing escape? What is wrong with me today? Oh, there you go. Did my stream crash again? It happened again, where YouTube just says something. Okay, that was strange. Anyways. So yeah, I got this guy right here. Let's just increase the width by quite a bit more. Actually, let's stretch out everything. Or actually not stretch out, because I don't want it to stretch, but put it there, and just a little bit more centered. And for this one, make it a little bit smaller, maybe like 75 or 80. Yeah, okay, that's good. So if I put multiple, okay, I don't want to stretch, so don't chant force expand, but you'll leave about 10 like that. Okay, so that's pretty good. So let's get rid of these. And I got the save file UI single. Let me make a simple script to run this. So I'm going a little bit faster just because I want to try to finish this before my voice goes out. So over here, serialize field, private text mesh pro UGUI for the file name text mesh, and public void setup. And on setup, I want to receive a file info. I guess the file info. Yeah, that's probably the one that makes sense. So file name text mesh dot text equals file info dot name. Okay, so now I just need a main one to sort all this out, which probably means let's put this inside a container instead of just the main menu. So let's call this save file UI. That is actually not a great name, save file UI. I actually do mean that it's meant to be like not a save file, but meant to be more loading, but you load save files. So the name is a little bit confusing, but anyways, yeah, the save file UI like this, and now let's basically just spawn that. So first of all, I need a serialize field, private transform for a container, another one for my template, and then on private void awake, I need to make my template dot game object set active into false, and then on private void start over here, I want to populate it. So I gotta go on the save system, and I gotta get the load game UI. Yeah, that one probably makes more sense than save file UI, but yeah, I guess for now, let's keep it like this. But that's also a great teaching moment. Always remember how you can always refactor things. So anyways, on the save system, over here, let's go public list. It's not this list. I hate how this suddenly happened, how it basically adds this one. Why does it add the... Okay, it is that one that I want, but as soon as I type list, for some reason it thinks that I want any unit. No, that's not the one that I want. I want the systems.generic, so I hate how this one always adds the wrong using statement. Anyways, file info, get the file info list, and basically I'm just going to return this guy right here. So let's actually copy this, so I can basically remake this like this. Basically just return this one, even though it's actually not a list, file info array. So let's actually return an array of file info. And wait, did I? Oh, because it needs to be static, right? Get the file info array. So on this one right here, yeah, also don't need directory info. I just get the file info array just like this. And now on this guy, I can do that one, get the file info array, and then for each file info in the file info array, I get all of those. And now for each of those, I want to instantiate my template on the container, and this is going to be a transform for the save file UI single transform. And now on this guy right here, I want to get component of the save file UI single, and on this one I want to call the setup function, and on the setup function I want to pass in the file info like this. That is correct. That is correct. So then I gotta make sure, obviously, to set it up. So this one right here, game object set active into true in order to print it out. And I think that's almost it. I still need to maximize the container, but for the most part, that should be printing out all those things. Drink milk for your throat. Does that help? I don't really drink tea, not milk, but okay, maybe I'll try that out. So the content, that is the container, and save file UI single, that is that one. Let's see if that works. Nope, we got an error. What is the error? Null reference. What is the null reference? Did I forget to attach that one? Of course I did. That is the issue. That is always the issue. The good old null reference exception always happens every single time. So let's try again and try to see, does this one work out? And there, do I have that many save files? I guess so, but yeah, there you go. It worked. Awesome. So now, of course, there's one thing missing, which, like I said, the scroll view, this is sometimes tricky to work with, or at least the first time that you work with it, you are probably going to have this kind of issue where you don't know, okay, why can't I scroll? I've got more elements, but why can't I see them? Why can't I scroll? That is because you also need to modify this one right here. This content, this one needs to be modified. You need to make this one bigger for the scroll bar to actually appear, and then you can actually scroll through all of those. So, yep, you basically need to modify this one. This is the part that always drives me crazy whenever I do, just because by default, whenever I use this one's always small. So I'm always like, why can't I scroll? Thankfully nowadays, since I've encountered this problem many times previously, because that I do know how to solve it. Which means that over here, I need to resize it. And again, I always forget, how do I resize? It's just the height, I think. So I think it's just the container.size delta. No, get component for sub rect transform. And on rect transform, I've got the size delta equals a new one. And I think it's 0 for this one. Then for the y, this is the one. So float save file UI height. And the height, I'm pretty sure I put it as 80f. So on this one, like this, times the amount of things that I do have. Times this one dot length. Okay, I think that should do it. Let's see if that one, if the size is correct. Oh boy. You gotta finish this quickly so I can go and do something. Yeah. Alright, that seems to be correct. And if I scroll down... Okay, there's still one more. Did I miss by one? Okay, I missed by one, so that's always the key, is you always have one-off errors. So yeah, by length plus one, and that one should now finally, hopefully, work out. CZ content size filter. Oh yeah, that one. That would also work. But thankfully this does work. So yeah, there you go. I've got that one right there. I've got that one right there. And yep, that works out quite nicely. All right, so I've got all of these. Now that's left is making all of these buttons. So let's make this a button. And for this one being a button, let's also make the background, modify the background a little bit. Okay, so as long as I've got that one, yep, missing in the height. Oh, you're actually correct. It is actually, oh, very good, very well caught. Yes, it is actually the buffer between them. So yes, it is actually not a +1. So yeah, you are absolutely correct. It is not this. No, instead it is the, what did I call it? The spacing. So yeah, technically it is the save file UI height plus the spacing multiplied by that. And yeah, now it should be correct. Let's see, and then handle the button. I scroll down. And yeah, that is perfect. So yeah, there you go. Look at that. Great job on catching that. Yeah, because I definitely missed it. I just assumed it was a one-off, off by one error, and nope. It was actually that, yeah. How's the render and compile the start play mode so fast for you? I don't know, I guess I got a good CPU, that's basically it. But honestly, that's why whenever people constantly complain about Unity taking ages to load, I'm always like, well, even on my big projects, it always loads pretty fast, so I don't understand all those complaints about people taking like 3 minutes to load their game. I never quite understand it, because thankfully for me that doesn't really happen. But yeah, I guess that's why. I guess because thankfully I've got a pretty nice PC. I mean, I need a nice PC so I can record these videos and so on, which also helps with this kind of thing. So yes, Zillion domain reload. Nope, this is all standard. I didn't do anything. It just like this, just because yeah, I guess my CPU is pretty decent. Anyways, okay, so this is working, but of course when I click, nothing happens. So let's sort that out. And thankfully, that is actually super easy because over here on setup, we're already passing in the file info. So I can just go save system and call load, pass in this file info, and there you go. Literally one line of code, and now everything works out perfectly fine. 10 minutes to load. Holy crap. Ouch. Ouch. What keyboard are you using? It's I always forget the name. Logitech G915. It is really nice. I quite like it, even though I'm already missing a character, a button thing. But yes, I quite like it. I bought it a few years ago when my previous keyboard survived for literally like 20 years. That previous keyboard was so awesome, so good. But yeah, when that one died, I was afraid I would not find a good keyboard. But thankfully, this one is quite nice. I quite like it. That is quite good. Yeah, keycap. That's it. One of the things missing a keycap. I mean, it's not missing. It's right here. But the back thing basically broke. So yeah. Anyways, I've got the button, so let's go on the button and just make sure that button works. And yeah, it's not here on the setup. Yeah, I just messed up. That is not correct. No, it's over here. I gotta get a button. Even though I don't, oh, okay, it's not this button. No, it's the other button. Oh crap, it's not app UI. It's Unity Engine.ui. That's a button. So on setup, let's do button, oh boy. Button.onClick, add listener, and on click, let's load it like that. And that should do it. My G915 battery, really? Huh. Because I'm pretty sure I've had this one for like, I don't know, 3 years now. And the battery's perfectly fine. Like, I rarely have to charge it. Like my mouse, which is also Logitech, this one, I have to charge it every few days, but like my keyboard, I think I charge like once a month. But to be honest, I also don't have like those fancy lights. I find those distracting, so I literally just have a very faint blue light. So I guess that's why this this little the battery in the keyboard, that one works out very well because yeah, it barely uses any kind of lights. Yeah, limited expressions still don't make sense to me. Oh, really? It's one of my favorite things. But yeah, I can definitely see how they look quite alien. If you've never seen this syntax, this can be, whoa, what is this? This is crazy, but no, yeah, thankfully this is actually quite awesome. Actually quite, I'm a huge fan of limited expressions, but yes, I can definitely see how for someone in the beginning, they might be some, what am I doing? Oh, there it is. All right, so if I click on this, there you go. Woo! All right, that worked. That worked. That worked. So I can load this save file, load this save file, load this save file, and so on. Now I can load this one, continue playing, and so on. Save again, quit, and now I've got a brand new one. Okay, the order is flipped, so I gotta fix that. But yep, there you go. Right at the bottom, there you go. This is the one, and the one previously. Yep, there you go, that one. All right, awesome. So for the order, I actually do wonder if this order right here is save. If this one is. If the order is always older to newer, because if so, technically I can just call reverse, right? Using link. I think this might actually work. Does not work. So I cannot convert from IEnumerable to file info array. Can't I do like to array? Okay, so maybe this might, oh boy, maybe this might actually work out. Again, I don't know if this one right here always does it from older to latest, but if so, then yeah, I guess this works. It should do that. And if there you go, 2040, yep, and the oldest save file right here was at 756. So I can load that save file. That works. I can quit, come back here, load the latest save file. There you go, it works. Everything is fine. I've got nice resources. Everything is quite cool. All right, awesome. Woo! All right, so technically there's still one more objective, the save screenshot metadata, but yeah, like I said, my voice already messed up. I've been live streaming for like, I don't even know how long, like over 2 hours. Yeah, so my voice is messed up. I really gotta, yeah, rest my voice a little bit. But yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed it. And just in case you don't know, I've actually made a full tutorial on that. So if you're curious, how do you save screenshot and metadata? For that, you can use CodeMonkey save file screenshot. If you're curious about that one, you can watch this tutorial, which covers literally what that one actually does. And yeah, that is basically it. 60 minutes was ambitious. That is correct, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did answer a bunch of questions from chat and so on. So yeah, if I was making just by myself, I could definitely do this in under 60 minutes. But yes, whilst chatting, answering questions, and so on. Yeah, that takes quite a bit. Point mods, yeah, that would be nice, but yeah, I don't actually know what mods can do, so yeah, it would kind of be tricky to trust someone, then they would delete my entire YouTube channel. So yes, I don't know the power of mods, so I'll have to figure it out. But thankfully, most times there's no spam, so that is something. All right. What's your opinion on Python? I think it's a great starting language, even though I'm not a fan, just because it lacks the curly braces. So yes, that is quite something. So yes, but it is a great language, great starting language, great language to learn, great language for a lot of positive things. So yes, but me personally, I much prefer the comforting embrace of the curly braces. I much prefer that over indentation. So yeah, that's my only issue with Python, but yes. All right, so yeah, so this works out quite nicely. So yeah, here we created it. So we began with a completely normal starting scene that had nothing, and eventually we solved each objective one by one. So we made the main objective, saving and loading over here the resource amounts, then the building and all their placements. We created the multiple save slots, each of them based on timestamp, and we created this little load selector where we can load everything. And there you go. So I can load everything, I can save, and my little city builder game now has an awesome little save system. That is awesome. And yeah, of course, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is all part of my practice lab. It's actually save challenge number 0. And on practice lab, there are actually, by now, the last challenge is number 10. And since I started at 0, that means there are actually 11 challenges. So, yep, over here. And this one, I recently enabled a free trial. So yes, if you haven't tried it out, go give it a try. You can try it out completely for free. You basically download the starting project files, then I give you these starting project files, I give you the list of objectives, what exactly are you meant to do, and then it's up to you to basically write the code to solve this. And the whole point is basically to actually learn game development. In order to do that, you need to actually write some code, which is the whole point, the whole reason why I made this is basically as a way of helping you learn by doing. So you can basically download project files, solve all these objectives, then you can see how I solved it in my own solution, compare it with your own, and that is how you actually gain knowledge, so you actually gain that. Become an unforgiving child. Well, in terms of programming, this is how you do it. Just write more lines of code. The reason why I'm a better programmer than some other people is simply because I've literally written more lines of code than other people. That is literally it. So if you write 1,000,000 lines of code, you will be on my level or better. That's basically it. So yes, write more code, which again, if you want some guidance, you can watch this. All right, so yeah, so that was a lot of fun. At least I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know about all of you. Did you enjoy this little live stream format? Like I said, I've got like 10 challenges. So yeah, maybe once a month I'll do a challenge from the practice lab, kind of like this, just doing it live on stream. Because yeah, it is fun writing a bunch of code, doing a bunch of things. So yes, this was quite nice. So yeah, oh boy, I really need to rest my voice. So yes, I'm gonna get going, maybe eat something, and yeah, do a bunch more stuff, rest a little bit, rest my voice. So yeah, so all of you, yeah, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're all doing great. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Oh, awesome. Thank you much. Thanks so much for being here. That is always quite fun. Oh, hey, someone else, Hexarcoder on Twitch. That is fun. So yeah, anyways, thank you all so much for being here on this random Tuesday. Like I said, my goal on this August is to do more live streams. So yeah, I'll try to do, I definitely have some interesting ideas. Like one idea, spoiler alert, is called Game Dev Court, which I think is going to be very fun, very cool. So I still have to work on that. But yeah, basically I've got a lot of interesting ideas for some very interesting live streams. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. I'll try to do like 2 live streams per week. That is kind of my goal to try out for this August. So that should be quite fun. Anyways, yeah, that is going to be quite fun, quite interesting. So yeah, maybe I will see you at a future live stream. All right, so yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Go make some work on your projects, and I will see you all next time. And like that, there you go. All right, so bye everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.